What's up, freaks? This rip was brought to you by River. River's a Bitcoin company built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners the right way. There's no trusted third parties. They build all their infrastructure. They have free DCA because they know it's the best way to buy Bitcoin. So if you want to buy Bitcoin, you want to mine Bitcoin, you want to send Bitcoin over the Lightning Network, you want to plug into their Lightning Network API. If you're a developer, they're building all these tools for you. They also encourage self-custody. Again, they're Bitcoiners. They want to provide an on-ramp for you and then teach you and encourage you to take control of your own Bitcoin. And they're doing this. It's a beautiful company. If you do hold Bitcoin on the exchange, you can know for sure, since they don't rely on any third parties, they don't lend your Bitcoin out, they don't speculate with your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is held in a multi-sig wallet with 100% reserves. Okay? So go to river.com/TFTC, take advantage of the no-fee DCA. You set up your dollar cost average. You don't pay any fees on those buys. If you're a developer, they have their Lightning Network Services API that you can build on. You can send over Lightning. You can mine via River as well. You may have your exchange. You may be comfortable with it, but have you tried River yet? It's a question you have to ask yourself. If the answer is no, go try it. That's where all the Bitcoiners are hanging out. That's where I get my Bitcoin as well. River.com/TFTC. Thank you guys for listening. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe, set the notifications up as well. We're going to be putting out a lot of content this year. If you want to subscribe to the podcast feed as well, if you're not around your computer or not listening on YouTube, but you want to catch the podcast on the podcasting feeds, subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. And if you want to learn more about Bitcoin, I write a newsletter almost daily during the week. Go to tftc.io, subscribe on the website, and you'll get pure signal on Bitcoin, macroeconomics, geopolitics, whatever tickles my fancy that day. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for supporting the show. If you can subscribe, rate, review, goes a long way. We're trying to blow this up in 2023. Enjoy the rip.
You've had a dynamic where money's become freer than free.
If you talk about a Fed just gone nuts, all the central banks going nuts.
So it's all acting like safe haven.
I believe that in a world where central bankers are tripping over themselves to devalue their currency, Bitcoin wins. In the world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin is the victor.
I mean, that's part of the bull case for Bitcoin.
If you're not paying attention, you probably should be.
Because I want to post on Nostr, doing a rip with Marty tomorrow. I'm like, that's the wrong acronym today. I don't want anyone to. I felt wrong about that.
No, we've got to figure that out too, Logan, because that's like one of the.
It's weird, right? You know what I mean?
It's one of the feedbacks that we get on the album artwork. It's like it seems like everybody's dying that we have on the show. It's like,
I love the concept of a rip. You know,
Yeah.
I've always liked that. When you write it down, it's like not today.
Yeah.
Not today, not this week.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. I'm sorry to push it back.
Oh, brother, first of all, I'm so sorry. I mourn with you. Everyone's praying for you and your family.
Thank you.
I lost my mom way too young, and it sucks balls.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was a rough week. But we're lucky to have a big family, supportive family.
Oh, you got millions in your family, brother. Millions praying for you, thinking of you, sending good thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm here to take your mind off it for a little bit.
Well, thank you. No, like I was telling you coming in, the reason I felt compelled to fly in this morning and do this, number one, I just need to get some sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
Then number two, my dad would have loved this conversation. He was a big fan of yours.
Oh.
Again, he was that generation that went down and took part in the Panama Beach spring breaks when MTV was blowing it up.
When I got sunburned, I was like, it was the worst spring break for me ever, that one. I think it was also the one where I think Spuds McKenzie was there. I think the Bud Light dog. Remember Spuds? Mm-hmm. I think Spuds was there. And for some reason, I'm thinking Fiona Apple. I can't really remember. It was a weird one because I'd done Florida before, and I hated that. It was the worst. And Panama City Beach was, oh, this is nice. People are kind of okay. The Fort Lauderdale was insane. That was, and that whole thing, spring break was not because MTV wanted to be cool. It was to get Budweiser to advertise. And I actually participated in the pitch to Budweiser. So we made this fake kind of, and I was the host, spring break, and we had video rolling. Look at all the cool people on the beach, and we had these huge blow up Budweiser bottles, and we pitched them, and they took it. And so that was really only to get Budweiser to advertise on MTV. That's what started the whole thing off.
Well, apparently it was a banging party. My dad and his friends, and my mom was down there with them too. They talk about, they literally just load. I mean, this was back in like 1990, 91.
Yeah. Yep.
89. Maybe.
89, I think maybe. Yeah.
89. Yeah, this is before I was born. I was born in 91, so it's probably like 89. And just loaded up in the car.
You could be my son. My daughter was born in 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so privileged to be able to work with people like you, of your age, of your generation, and you got kind of a raw deal. We screwed up a lot with you guys. Because the 80s and 90s, my generation, I'm 58, was like, woo, party, we're making money, it's great. I was at MTV and all kinds of great stuff happening. And we're like, city council, what kind of loser are you? No, it's like, school board, no, we're not paying attention to that. And then, we had the first Gulf War, which was complete, CNN, green screen, crazy, shock and awe. Then we had the .com bubble. Of course, 9/11 was what really was, it was shocking for people of my age. But imagine you were 10, 11, whatever, and it was like, don't worry about it. We're going to smoke them out. And then, we invaded the wrong country. And it's all this weird stuff. Like, why do we go over there? And we got that guy. And said, no, don't worry. We'll take care of it all. And then, go to school, get these meaningless degrees and stupid stuff. And then we had the Great Recession, and you literally saw your friends lose their homes. Everyone saw that, but it was for the kids. It was messed up, and we said, "Don't worry about it." And then you come out of college, and there's $12 an hour jobs, and don't worry about it. And we'll fix this money thing, and we didn't. And then y'all, as we say in Texas, started to fix it with Bitcoin, and I didn't understand it at first. And so now that I do understand it, I feel very lucky and privileged to be a part of this movement, which is it's a groundswell. You're kind of politically agnostic, checked out a little bit, which is, I think, good. But you can always check back in when it's time. So I really like it. I enjoy it. And I feel, as I said, very privileged to be a part of working with people like you and your age.
Well, the feeling is mutual, because I think there's not a lot of good graybeards in the world anymore to impart wisdom on.
Well, there's a few, like, Texas Slim is one who popped into my life, and here's a guy, and he taught me a lot, and he kind of also came out of semi-retirement to, hey, you're not eating food. And so, and when you introduced me to him, of course, that was just what a rich relationship that's become, and how, we've been able to bond together and do things to move all of it forward. It's really been phenomenal. So yeah, but there's more out there. There's a lot more.
Oh, there definitely is.
They are.
But I think you're a special weapon in this fight for freedom in the digital age, considering you've seen the different iterations of the internet, the growth of the internet, the invention of podcasting, now podcasting 2.0. Mm-hmm. And another thing I would add to that long list of shit that my generation has been through is like WikiLeaks in like 2012, Snowden.
Right.
And that. So like it was 08.
Speaking of graybeards, my boy's still locked up, and no one seems to care. I mean, we care, but the system doesn't care. He might as well just be dead in a dungeon somewhere.
Yeah, they completely, essentially lobotomized him in solitary confinement. Parker and I were actually just talking about it right before you got here, because he went to some forum with Julian's brother and wife and his father, and he was just saying, like, his father had this line, like, if you don't have the free press in America, what do you have? Like, just repeated it like many times, like, there is no free press here anymore.
Well, no, not under that heading of press, but of course we have created a couple of systems which are very radical, very free, very decentralized. Podcasting 2.0, is podcasting in general has always been a part of that, which is why they can't really do much. Once the censorship started through big tech like Apple and Spotify, that's when I woke back up. So whoa, no, you're not going to do that shit. And so we fixed that. But now you see, Mastodon is kind of a part of that, but the mind-blowing nature of owning your identity with Nostr it gives me so much hope, and it's almost to the point where, I see what's happening to big tech. I see what the TikTok bill is about. The problem with TikTok is, of course, they're making so much money. They're taking all the advertising money from Google, from Meta platforms. Twitter doesn't matter. Elon has a different agenda for that. But ByteDance just announced $80 million in revenue. And of course, a lot of that's coming from TikTok. And Google just announced they're taking away people's staplers, tape, the muffins on Monday. I'm not kidding. The COO literally came. I don't know CEO, but big financial lady. She came out and said, "No more staplers. Get them from the central desk. We're going to cut down on the buses." You're in deep shit if that's happening. And of course, that's because they've come into this. They've bought into their own hype of ChatGPT and AI, which to me is no more than a parlor trick, really. They don't know how to make money off of it either. It's very expensive. They got to retool everything. They got to re-engineer their systems to be able to run this stuff. No one wants to pay for it. It's fun, but you ask me to pay $20? No, I'm not going to do that. No one wants to do that. So their model is broken. And, so I think initially they went to their favorite politicians and said, get rid of these guys. We can't compete, get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Get rid of TikTok and China, whatever. But now that I read the bill, the Senate bill, 686, I'm like, maybe it should just pass. Just ruin all that shit. Just take care of it all. Control it all. People run away. Elon's breaking Twitter. It's not going to be, it's already not fun. The minute you can no longer be anonymous, you can't troll, you can't have fun, you don't have freedom to say whatever you want to say. So maybe there's only 30% that is left on the ark, that floats away, but it'll be our 30%. And I'm kind of feeling like, you really can't get rid, unless you shut down the internet, you can't get rid of Bitcoin, you can't get rid of Nostr, you can't get rid of a lot of things really, because unless you want to get rid of any protocol, email. HTTP. That seems a little far fetched. So I'm not quite convinced. I haven't quite convinced myself, but I'm pretty close to. Please, why don't you just control all of it so it's obvious, and then the people who want freedom, which always requires an extra step, you got to learn how to, protect your keys. This is there's no help desk. No. I know you have young kids. I was just thinking about this morning. If my kids were, and my daughter Christina, she already understands. I have two stepdaughters, haven't quite gotten them over the line yet. My daughter understands, not your keys, not your coin. During the pandemic, she needed cash, and the only way to really get it to her efficiently and not within 5 days was through Bitcoin. And she used the service out there, but she does have her own wallet and everything, and she had to learn about you got to protect your keys, your seed. And so I'd almost say like, hey, I'll be the bank for you, kid. Your allowance is coming in Bitcoin, and you got to put it in your cold storage wallet, and when you want to spend something, you put it in your Lightning wallet. And if you want to, turn it into fiat, I'll do that for you. I'll be your bank. Mm-hmm. If you lose your keys, tough shit. You just lost all your money. And they'll only do it once, I think, and then they'll remember, and they'll learn how to. And that's the stuff that's the extra step that you have to take, that we've become accustomed to. There's someone to help me out. There's something out there.
Yeah, there's two sides of that. Like, demands extreme ownership. Not your keys, not your coins. You have to be able to secure and protect them. But then the other side of that is like, it's not that hard. It's like,
no, you just have to know. It's a response. It's a big. It used to be the piggy bank. If you would rattle your piggy bank, and of course it had that little thingy, rubber thing on the bottom. Yeah. You take the money out, and it wasn't the real piggy bank from way back when. But even now, it's like I'm not always, but I think about, I just want to make sure those keys are protected, because that's the wealth, that's the security, that's the backup, that's the retirement, that's all that stuff. And it's not a bad thing to think about that, I don't think.
No, not at all. And again, it's not that hard. You just download an app, practice with it, and then Go get a hardware wallet, write down the words, protect them.
Yeah.
It's easier than, and I think Bitcoiners have done it, and maybe not a disservice, but a bad marketing tactic has been the fear mongering over private key security. Like if you lose it, you're gonna lose all your money, which is certainly true, but I don't think it's as hard as a lot of people make it out to be.
No, and there's multi-sigs and all kinds of stuff you can do. That's all just an educational thing. I also have one wallet where I have, one Bitcoin is in there, and I know the 12 words, and I'm a free man.
Yeah.
I rehearse them once a month. So what are my 12 words? Because you can forget them. It does forget, and there's ways to remember. I use some of the tactics that like the memory competition guys do, which is you imagine a house, and you go through the house and what's on the door, what's on the table, what's on the couch, and then that's kind of the way to remember it.
Yeah, it's like the Roman way of memorization.
I know. I read about some journalist who was covering these memory competitions, and then he actually started to do it and became champion. And it turns out that most of these people, they get like Architectural Digest, so because they run out of homes. So like look at Architectural Digest and remember the home in Architectural Digest and what was in each different part of it.
Yeah, and there's have you seen Border Wallets yet, that project?
I don't think so, no.
So that's pretty cool. It's the same concept, but you print out like a table with BIP39 seed words, and then like an image like covers your seed phrase like within that array. And it's like a memorable image. So like you
okay.
just
So
memorize what the image is.
Just put the pieces back together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. People are really getting creative around how to memorize seed phrases. I don't know if I would ever have the confidence.
Well, that's why it's only one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's my emergency. I don't know. They say that if you pass and you go to heaven and you remember your seed words, you'll have your Bitcoin in heaven. I don't know if that's true, but I think it's funny.
It's like
just in case.
It's like putting coins on the eyes when people get on
yeah, right.
the river.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
And the what was I going to say? Oh, I don't trust myself because I've had 6 concussions. It's not I think if that.
Oh, you're a regular Fetterman over here.
Yeah. Sent it. Skateboarding, snowboarding, basketball, lacrosse, a bunch of them, surfing.
I only had 2. One skateboarding when I was really young. In Austin, actually. I can't remember why we were here, but it must have been when I was 11 or 12. And the other one was when I was in my 40s, motocross. It was a celebrity motocross race. I had no business doing it. I mean, it was like you also dressed up, so I had an Elvis suit on. And, of course I hadn't practiced or anything. And so they just gave, a 250 would have been good for me. They gave me a KTM 450, way too big. And I went over the, the table jump and then I came down the wheel and hit the gas. Just my wrist was too limp. Go figure. And so the bike took off. Bam, flat on my back of my head. And so, yeah, I didn't crap right for a year. And I was a little fuzzy for a bit there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my last one. I hit the back of my head on the lacrosse field, pissed myself. And
oh, man. You really that was a real good one.
Yeah, I decided
no more.
Decide no more contact or extreme sports. But going back to like the Restrict Act, are you worried that they'll label us Bitcoiners foreign adversaries? They'll throw a bunch
well,
of
of course, this is exactly what they did with terrorists. It became enemy combatants, and now basically Patriot Act is being used for
white nationalists.
Yeah, for combatants inside the country, of course. Yeah. But also, I think we pay a little bit too much attention to the national scene, and certainly, today. Former President Trump is being indicted. I was on my way in listening to the breathless, this is really this is an incredible day in American history, and he will be the first president to be under arrest. It's like, it's just like, wow. So they're making a big spectacle out of it. But ultimately, I care about Fredericksburg City Council, Gillespie County, state of Texas. That's where it starts. We still are a republic. We're federation. We're states, and Texas, like Florida, did quite well in the lockdowns and all kinds of stuff. And I don't want to repeat the mistakes of the 80s and 90s where we're not paying attention to the city council and the school board. And we got crap going on in our own little community as well. So it's really important that you sure, you can think big and global and all that, but ultimately, I think everything happens on the local level. That's the same with sourcing your food. You know, it's all so important. You know, I could easily have Cole send me the beef once every 3 months. I prefer to go down there, come into Austin, say hi, how's the family, you know, chat for a little bit, and then go back. You know, and then, you know, Slim will come through. He's on his way to Luling, and he'll stay overnight with us one night, and we'll chat and we'll just dream. And I mean, you gotta be thinking more local. We really do. That was the mistake. That's the learning.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's the one silver lining of COVID and the lockdowns was states beginning to reassert their autonomy. And local community. If you don't know your neighbors, if you don't know who's across the street, if you don't know, you know, then you really have nothing. No. And that was, again, going back to the last week, that was like the great thing. My parents ran the coffee shop in our local town. They were like my dad was really a focal point of the community. With this coffee shop on the main strip, and it was just crazy. All the neighbors,
of course,
beyond our extended family, really drove home. This week, particularly, like, hey, my parents have something really special. My mom still does, but and they have a very strong local community. I grew up in, seeing friends. I moved away right after high school. I was still 17. And haven't been back since. So it's been almost 15
Most of the
years.
guys I know from that area moved away, but they do come back. They do come back. You know, it was never forgotten. I hung out not far, you know, South Jersey.
Yeah.
And I still very tight bond with some of those guys still.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The local connections are important. That's really been driven home to me over the last 10 days. But yeah, that's the other thing too. We're seeing it, like, because the Standard Bitcoin is the mining company I have, and we're seeing it. That's like where we get our most high leverage plays, is where we go into local rural areas. So we target areas with falling population.
As we roll in the container and...
this is on grid. So
okay.
Basically you have a lot of these rural areas in Appalachia that had large manufacturing capacities that have obviously since
gone.
Left, and with them the population, but they still have these massive substations that were there to support like a steel smelting
This
factory.
is so Atlas Shrugged.
Right.
Holy crap. Have you read Atlas Shrugged?
It's right here.
Okay. I mean, anybody, it'll take you a month, but read this book. I mean, that is really so close to, you know, Hank Reardon right there, man. Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. No, and it's great because we're able, I think Bitcoin will play an integral part in like rebuilding these local communities, particularly mining, because we're able to go in the way it works in Tennessee. They have these co-ops where they have a mandate to keep electricity prices down. So they're falling. They have a very scarce, a very finite supply of electricity in these substations, falling populations, obviously falling revenue.
Yep.
As less people are paying. So they're having a way. We have all this electricity, less people. We got to
So how does that work? How does that help the local community that's still there?
So we come in and we say, hey, we'll buy up the excess capacity that you have, providing you more revenue. So that you can keep prices lower for everybody else.
And then does that help them build their communities back up, or how does that work?
Helps them, first order effects, helps them keep electricity prices low, which is their mandate.
Right.
We do provide not a ton of jobs. It's probably like a 3-month contracting gig for probably like 12 to 20 people. And then ongoing, there's probably like 5 people fully employed. But then you're just bringing back revenue to the local community.
That's always good. That's always good.
That they can reinvest. And we're doing the off-grid stuff too. There's a bunch of stranded natural gas wells up there.
I'm still waiting, man. I want to get my machine in one of your containers.
You send it up whenever. We're actually about to deploy a bunch.
Okay. I mean, I got 2 S9s in the pool house, humming away. John Henry and Rosie the Riveter.
We're gonna hey, S19 XPs are cheap right now. I'll pick up some of those.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is just someone sent me 2 S9s. You know, I was like, oh, that's so nice, man. I was like, and it was fun just to get it started. Actually, it was one S9 that was John Henry, and then Tina, my wife, she's like, well, I want one too, and so we got her one, Rosie the Riveter, and so we compete. Rosie outdoes John Henry a lot for some reason. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but it was just interesting to set it up and to learn how it works, and then, feel the heat in the winter and feel the extreme heat in the summer as the garage just heats up. It's crazy.
It's crazy because I was in Tennessee at our first deployment in July, like standing while the machines are on. It was just like the noise, the air, the heat.
Well, who are the guys up near Taylor? Are they still
Riot?
there? It's now Riot. I think Riot bought them, but before it was Riot.
Windstone?
Yeah, that's what it was. I went up there to just check it out and say hi a couple of years ago. And I went in, I was like, whoa, I had no idea. And the way they have it set up is everything blows inward and up. And so you can then go through and walk in the middle of it. And your hair is just blowing all over the place. And there's no real cooling. It was just open like a barn. I think now they have some water, liquid cooled stuff, but it blew me away. Like, and they're right on the substation there, or right on the, what is it? The
substation,
Yeah. What's the exchange called? The criminal thing?
ERCOT?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, they're on
the criminal ERCOT.
Yeah. Well, that's something just passed the legislator earlier this week.
What was that?
They're going to stop. They're going to try and stop mining projects from connecting to ERCOT with their demand response programs.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's short-sighted.
Very. I mean, Riot's a perfect example. This winter, they shut down.
Yeah, and they actually helped, right?
Yeah.
That's so dumb, but it's so criminal. Like the Enron people didn't go away; they just went to ERCOT. They just started, trading. I mean, there's people in Finland who own our energy. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is, and then people think it's like our grid's no good. No, we've got criminals running it. In my opinion, I can't say that for sure, but it's all hedge funds. It's the same banking people that are trading energy back and forth, and that's how you get these ridiculous prices. And people shut down, and they don't care.
Well, the ERCOT fanboys will point to it and say this is the most free market electricity system you can have.
True. But I think Texas needs to know how it works, and that in this free market system, there are lives at stake. So I think there's a time when people do need to take some things into consideration.
Yeah. Well, then you have...
Because that's what Snowmageddon was about a couple of years back. That was because it didn't pay for anyone to spin up something to have it ready in case it really got bad.
Yeah, and then you had the misallocation of capital focusing on solar and wind in West Texas when you probably should have been weatherizing the natural gas lines and the nuclear sensor that went.
I mean, we're one of the states where wind energy kind of makes sense. I still don't think it really works with the cost of the turbines and how long they last and what it takes to make them. But we got a lot of wind and a lot of open space, that's for sure. But, nuclear, I'm a big nuke fan, honestly.
Same.
And I think that's been we know that Gates invested in nuclear and now it's kind of coming back and people are starting to talk about it. And now we're going to decide. France and Germany are arguing, is nuclear green or not? And of course, Germany says no because they convinced themselves to get rid of all the nuclear. France has run on nuclear for decades and decades. Was some ridiculous amount, 60% of their energy. So once they determine what is green, which I think they'll come up with some like other color that'll make it allowable. What do we have? Murky green or like seaweed color. They're gonna have some crap. Get out. Kind of let them get through with it. Even though that is the obvious solution. We could have backyard nukes at this point, and the stuff there's no waste. It eats its own waste. We've had Atomic Rod, who's been a big producer of No Agenda for a long time. He was on a nuclear sub most of his career, and he understands this stuff. He says it's all politics and it's all money, and as it always is. And now we have this green hydrogen, which is just, I love this. What a bait and switch we got there. In Europe especially, the EU.
Yeah, well, I had Brian Gitt on last week. It was the last episode we posted. And he was a long time. He worked 2 decades in the solar industry. And essentially had a come to Jesus moment where it's like, holy shit, I've wasted 2 decades of my life spewing bullshit to people. And he's pivoted very heavily to nuclear, but during that conversation he was talking about how hydrogen's such a massive scam.
And it was I know Frans Timmermans, he's the EU commissioner who's in charge of the Green Deal, as they call it in Europe. And he was in the finance department and was always traveled with the Queen, when the Queen of the Netherlands, now they have the King, to Bilderberg and all that. And I had an opportunity to talk with him, and he knows. He almost kind of tell me, like, you know, you should keep pushing back against us. That's good that you do that, because he knows he's a big scam. He won't talk to me now. But, you know, they went through, electricity, electric, wind, solar. And the story got old. Everyone came to Jesus on that. This is not really working. That's why it's hydrogen. Or as they say, Queen Ursula, von der Leyen, says, green hydrogen. Well, I just love that. Hydrogen. Hydrogen. And everyone believes it now.
Yeah.
And of course, the greenest of all hydrogen is if you can make hydrogen through electrolysis with wind and solar. I mean, how insane! I mean, this is truly. It's almost like hooking up your a car alternator to a battery, and then saying, look. It's a perpetual motion machine. It runs off the battery and it charges the battery at the same time. Except, with that system, it'll be 40% loss or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then you have to liquefy it, or
we don't teach people stuff in school anymore. Yeah,
no.
Liquefied hydrogen. Dvorak actually knows a lot about this. He knows so much about it, and he's like, and it's always 10 years away. It's always 10 years away. Everything's 10 years away. The fuel cell. It's coming. It's all coming. It's always 10 years away.
Well, we're getting close to Greta's 12-year prediction. We've got to be like 8 years out now. Mm-hmm. What happens, Greta, when we come to 2030? Whenever?
Yeah, nothing. It's just more expensive. The existing stuff is just more expensive. Yeah. I mean, that's literally the debate that's going on now in the EU is what they will allow because, we still need some crossover because it's not all quite, we're 10 years out. It's the biggest money sink and scam in our lifetimes, and people just kind of take it. There's no revolt, there's no revolution that I can see. Except France. Those guys. By the way, they say it's pensioners. Because of the pension age going from 62 to 64. That's not 61-year-olds out there protesting and rioting. Okay, no. That's something else going on. But let's just pretend it's pensioners, and that's all they're mad about. No, people are pissed.
Yeah, people forget leading up to COVID, before the lockdowns happened, you had the Yellow Vest movement.
And in the Netherlands, the most peaceful country that I grew up in, we had riot police clubbing old people. Mm-hmm. What the hell? They had a curfew. Hadn't happened since 1943, World War II.
Yeah, well...
Because COVID only comes out at night. It's nocturnal.
Well, we can factor in like COVID lockdowns, the crazy political landscape here in the United States with the woke capital shit and the transgender theme that seems to be popping up right now.
So this Dylan Mulvaney thing caught me by surprise. This is the Bud Light. Now, in 1996, my first client, I walked out of MTV, so I got to do stuff on the internet. And actually, the first thing, I got the license to do the 64th or something Grammy Awards. I got the license to do a cybercast, which was literally see you, see me, one frame a second. But we had Casio as a sponsor because they have this new cool thing, a digital camera. So we were taking pictures in the Shrine Auditorium, putting them online on a website. And it was, so we had just a couple of sponsors like that, but it was small, but it was great. We kind of broke even. We brought in a T1 line into the Shrine Auditorium. It had never been done before. Excuse me. And 2 weeks later, I got a call. Robert McCauley. Hi, it's Robert McCauley from Anheuser-Busch. I'd like to talk to you about a website. We flew to St. Louis. And man, I get goosebumps when I think about this. And he really staked his reputation. He said, I think we cannot afford as Anheuser-Busch not to be on this World Wide Web thing. And we'd like to contract you to build it. I said, hold on a second. Let me contact the sales department. Yeah, sales department. We had a ragtag crew. And we actually put one guy, Kerry Goss, almost at Anheuser-Busch for weeks, and we built content. We built Budweiser.com, Budlight.com, And we there was the Clydesdale, there was the sports, and all this stuff, and it's a button. I mean, monogrammed button-down shirts, the whole thing. Very, I mean, really, St. Louis, man. It's like these were old school guys. It was just in the transition from August Bush the third to the fourth, from Grinder to Woody. Those are the nicknames. Woody, I could already tell. I mean, when we met him in his office, he was looking at Porsche brochures. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how long this company will be what it is. But it was, the brand was everything. And my main thing as I met with them was like, we should really try and get your domain name in your ads on television and on your can. Well, I thought Grindr was going to shit himself. Listen to me, son. You ain't changing anything on my can or my bottles. Ever. That's not going to happen. A year and a half, and this is going on and on and on. And then, some other people start putting stuff in there on their product, and so that was starting to loosen up a bit. We also created something called the Born On date. If you look at the Budweiser can, it says Born On. That we came up with that.
That was you?
Yeah. So we learned, as we learned how the process worked, because they were still brewing there in St. Louis, that every 15 minutes is when new bottles or cans came off the line, and the barcode, you could find it exactly down to the quarter hour when your beer was born. So we said we had a little thing on the website. You didn't have a scanner. We didn't have phones, of course, back in the day. But type in the numbers underneath the barcode, and we'll tell you your beer's born on date. And they liked that so much, they used that. They wound up using that just on the cans. Your beer was born on. This is your freshest date. So we eventually got that. But now to see that that they, even though they didn't really produce these cans, I thought it was AI. Marty, I thought it was AI, because any brand, and this is 27 years ago, but any brand manager who would not only put something on the can, but put someone on the can that covers up the actual brand name would not just be fired; they'd be hung from the St. Louis Arch. It's unbelievable to me. Now, what happened was, the way it went with social media is, this Dylan is a spokesperson. That is not true. It was an open contest, and this is the mistake that someone made over there at Anheuser-Busch, InBev, whatever. It was an open contest. Anybody could participate in the contest with the hashtag, but that they decided to send Dylan Mulvaney a can that was not only not the Bud Light can, but was literally defaced. I mean, I was convinced it was Emily. You can't. This is that. I know the family. I know this company. Mm-hmm. I thought I knew the company. I thought I did. That is, and then now, of course, this is going to be interesting. Even though I read this morning, like, oh no, this is brand managers and marketers know that this is actually a net positive. This is really going to be good for Bud Light. When I see Kid Rock machine gunning cases of Bud Light on Twitter and TikTok or whatever it was, Kid Rock rules, man. He and if you look at TikTok, which of course has an algorithm which is perpendicular to everything else, they don't promote hate. They promote, hey, you hate Bud Light. You're everyone who hates Bud Light over here. Everybody who has purple hair and trans over here. They don't put the two together, which is why they're so popular. People are doing some crazy ass stuff to Bud Light, and they are mad. And I think they really missed what their market is. They really missed it. And it's not just dudes, NASCAR guys, which, by the way, I'd say about 49% is women. Women in general, who buy stuff. I'm not buying that for you. Old man, I'm buying you any beer you want. I'm not buying you that.
Yeah, and it seems like, focusing on women particularly, I saw one of the college swimmers, the NCAA swimmers, came out and gave a pretty impassioned speech about the whole Leah Thompson thing. It's really driving people it's forcing people to like stand up and say something and make a stand, which is when things get really weird. There's
a bigger agenda here, though. There's a bigger agenda, and it's connected to mRNA and COVID and all this. It's transhumanism. The idea is, because you notice that there is real body dysmorphia and dysphoria. There are people who feel like their leg does not belong. And they wind up actually amputating their leg because it feels wrong. And psychologists, no one can figure out what's wrong with them, but they're deeply unhappy until that amputation takes place. And this is a real thing. You don't see any, they're not invited to the White House. You know, this is done specifically with kids, which is a very tough one. You know, save the children, think of the children. You know, any parent, you know, you think about, oh, my kid, there's something wrong with my kid, and here's the answer. And, you know, the scientists are telling me. This is about the new religion of science. This is about being able, MIC, not the military industrial complex, the medical industrial complex, big pharma. They want to morph you with technology. They want to make you whatever, you know, they want to be able to, for you to believe that their systems can fix you in any state that you're in. And you know, the mood rings, the Apple Watch is all a part of it. You're integrating with technology. Your phone, basically, you know, what does Elon Musk say? Oh, that's a really shitty interface, man. We got to have the Neuralink, jack you right in. That's really what they want. Even though COVID mRNA vaccines didn't technically change your DNA, it put in messenger RNA that told your DNA what to do. So it's all about them saying, you know, our science is, we can fix you. We can do whatever. We can make you whatever you want to be. You want to be a hawk? We can make you a hawk. You know, all this stuff, and it's a very, very long game. It's been going on for a long time, and I'm only kind of realizing this now. And we got to fight that, and it's very, very hard because, you know, we love technology. We love the stuff that enables us to communicate. Part of that problem is the centralized, not the media, but the medium. You know, it's anything that's centralized, that's algoized. I mean, I love technology. My car practically drives itself, man. I'm driving here, I can be, woo, yeah. I just have to keep my hand. I have a Tesla, by the way, but it is a car that will, you know, has algos. It knows how to keep the distance. It's not flying off the road. I'm still in ultimate control. I'm a pilot. You know, yeah, there's an autopilot. I love it, but there's still a human being who's in control, and it's not jacked into me, so I still have some control over it, and that's really great. Those are great tools, but when you allow the subversiveness of algorithms to addict you into messaging that just is over and over and over, you know, that's bad. I mean, when the internet first started, it was so cool. We had email, we had news groups, and that was kind of it. And then we had websites, but we didn't have this. And this in no human system can thousands or hundreds of thousands of people come together and have a great conversation unless you're filtering people in or filtering people out. You know, it just doesn't work, and it's bad. It's not even Mastodon. You know, we noagendasocial.com. We have a Mastodon server that I set up in 2017. It got so out of control, so hard for me to manage. One of our producers took over it, and we capped it at 10,000. And already it's like, and these are all people who are kind of on the same page, but luckily they're not. Everyone's kind of different. The one thing we have in common is kind of the show. That's about it. And I'm already seeing it's just trashy. You know, it's like what works great, meetups, 10 people, 15 people in person coming together, people you wouldn't say hello to on the street because, like, I don't know, man, that doesn't look like one of my people. That's what works so well. We got to get back to that. We really do. We have to remember how important interpersonal communication is. You know, wavelengths between human beings. You're emitting energy, and we're feeling that. We're either on the same wavelength or not. Yeah. You know, that's important.
That's why, I mean, even with the podcast, like in person, so much better.
Oh,
than over
Zoom. Of course.
But that's like the thing I grapple with the whole transhumanism singularity. Like, is it the natural progression of humans that we will somehow combine with technology? I am intuitively against it because I like humanity and being human and fallible and not and mortal to an extent. Like, I don't want to live forever. A lot of these people in Silicon Valley truly want to live forever and think they will.
Honestly, I'm kind of excited about what heaven will be. I'm hearing it's pretty cool, so I'm not too worried about dying. That's the main thing. I think people are inherently afraid of dying. and I know this is a weird time to discuss this with you, but I've been learning a lot. I've been listening a lot, and I think that heaven truly is the place where we all intend to be ultimately, and you don't have to do much to get there. And that is, I like life. I like life on Earth, and I want to have a good time. But I'm not afraid. I'm just not afraid because I know that it's going to be groovy on the other side too. It's probably going to be a lot better because our world is basically broken. Now, while I'm here, I like a good fight.
Yeah.
I like it. I like being, and I guess I've always been that way. I've always been against the man or whatever. That's just in my bones, I guess. And I like it. And that's fun. And I feel that, that it shows people other things and opens them up to, anything but science as a god, I think that's really the issue. That's really what's going on here. It's a religion, trust the science, trust this. That's not really good.
And it's
not what America is either.
No, it's extremely scary. And it's funny you said, I'm not afraid, because that's like the last song at Mass yesterday was Be Not Afraid. Like, come follow me, and I will give you strength. It's like
beautiful. Yeah.
But it's true. And that's what I had a friend recommend while this was going down, that I read the Gospel of John. So I read that on a couple flights, and I'm not afraid either. It's it sucks to know that we're all gonna. It doesn't even suck. It's gonna happen. It's a part of life. And I think it's part of human is like you are somewhat ephemeral.
People are very afraid of dying, and our pastor at Bridge Church, Fredericksburg, he's been doing this series about heaven and hell, and he actually did a sermon about hell. And man, you could have heard a pin drop. There was no hooting and hollering that day. But it's good, heaven is mentioned in the Bible, but people don't really talk about it because they're still kind of afraid of it. And once you don't have that fear, you just feel invincible. Like, there's so much to do. There's so many cool, exciting things to do to make this world better, to make it better for you, for your kids, for your kids' kids, and to be positive. That's kind of what I was talking to Tina this morning about Nostr. Because it took me a while, and now I finally get it. And although I see lots of technological issues, relays being one of them in general, but we got a lot to figure out still. What I think is still seen as an echo chamber and toxic maxis. When I look at Nostr right now, as more and more people come on, I see a lot of happiness. And like, hey, we're moving forward, and there's some freedom element to it, and there's also religious contingent in there. It all feels kind of positive, like we're all different and we're all doing something different, but everyone's still kind of hey, you're here, you're part of the forward movement, not part of. So, and that's, like Mastodon, which has actually been around for 12, 13, 14 years as a GNU social, I think. And it's also not the same, Our admin, again, we have 10,000 people. Our admin, Aaroner, he did an April Fool's joke. And he said, tonight at midnight, I'm shutting down this instance, and he runs the whole thing. I have an admin access, so I can do whatever I want. But if he cuts it down, he cuts it down. It's like I'm changing my name to Crystal. I'm moving to California. I can't stand all you KKK Nazi quadroons, which is a long-standing joke about our instance. We're one of the most blocked for some reason. But he actually did it. He actually shut it down for several hours, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I can't take my identity and go to another server and bring it back up.
Not only your identity, but all your notes.
Well, that's what I mean. Everything. Yeah. So now, thank God for Umbrel. I mean, it's great for people like me who know just enough to be dangerous. I have my own relay running, which only really runs over my own a Tailscale network, and I have Snort. Running and I was able to understand how to use the NO2, the NOS2X whatever extension to sign in automatically and to have my keys. And no matter what client I try, it comes right back up. And even if I'm kicked off every relay, I have my stuff on my own relay. Wow, okay, this is something different. Same thing though, I can't lose my keys or I'm screwed, right?
Yeah.
So that's to say, but now you can link it all together. And as I was driving in, I'm thinking about this, and there Gigi wrote another thoughtful article, who, by the way, I've given some shit because he has been a bit of a toxic guy sometimes. Like, hey, give everybody a chance, man. It's not the be all that end all.
Gigi, what are you doing?
Yeah, but I love him, and he wrote this really thoughtful thing because the value for value that we've ported over to podcasting 2.0, in particularly the splits, is such a powerful concept, and this is what Nostr is missing, and I think that's what he's trying to bring in. So with podcasting 2.0. When you use, and by the way, it's not just Fountain, it's Podverse and CurioCaster and Cast-O-Matic, and there's a lot of, go to podcastapps.com. It's not just Fountain that has this capability, so I want everyone to know. But early on, when Dave Jones and I were concepting this and thinking about how do we build this Lightning Network in, we understood that removing all the friction and having a boost button and a per minute payment that streams out automatically, okay, we got that. But what was the mistake of podcasting initially is that no app developer and no hosting provider saw Joe Rogan money. Anyone who had big ads, the app guy was still trying to shill his premium version for 99 cents, or $5 a month or whatever. Said, well, what if we have it so that there's some automatic splits in there, and then you can determine for yourself what you want to put in. So when you're using an app for free, if you boost the No Agenda Show or Podcasting 2.0 or Currying the Keeper or whatever, or Tales from the Crypt, a piece of that is going to the app developer. And that incentivized everybody. It's, okay, it's 2-3% of 100 sats. That's what it is today. But even that, it didn't matter. It was, I got something back. I got some value, but someone gives a shit. Mm-hmm. It feels good, like they care. And no one has ever complained about, apps taking a percentage, which we call a fee and is technically built on top. Or Podcast Index gets 1%. And it's all the honor system. You don't have to put it in. But, that's now almost, this month actually, almost paid for the servers. Dave and I haven't taken any money out, and we don't, it doesn't matter. This is our legacy, our retirement. We'll do it until we're dead. And maybe we leave everything on the node. We open up channels, everyone who needs it. But that participatory thing is what is not in Nostr yet. That's what I think Gigi has, this prism concept or whatever, or, you can put these splits in. And so as I'm driving in thinking about this, I'm like, we need to connect. So we just started something called the GUID project, GUID, so that every podcast feed has its own GUID. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter where you are, we can always, this is the GUID. That's this podcast has this unique identifier, a global unique identifier. That needs to be tied into your Nostr. Now we have, because now you have the feed, we say the feed is the source of truth. So whatever's in podcastindex.org, you can consider that to be correct, but the feed is still the source of truth. We could mess it up, we could be nefarious. So the feed is always the source of truth. Now we need to connect that, I think, to your Nostr ID. Now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
Now you can really, and then you can, all those splits can flow through to everything, and you can reverse it. I mean, my mind was just blowing up coming in about how cool that will be. There's a lot of building left to do. So instead of, and I want to caution everybody, because this should be email. Nostr should be everything. Fuck RSS. It should all be Nostr. No, you really don't want that, because we in effect as podcastindex.org will be, I think, the relay for feeds. Mm-hmm. It'll still be the database, and it's 130 gigs. I mean, this is a massive project that we're running, literally on baling wire and gaffer tape. And it's all, and it's all, but it's the 1% sats that we get. People, hosting companies donate. They're probably the biggest, and a lot of the app guys donate, like Fiat. We get Fiat fund coupons from them as well as Bitcoin, and it's necessary. But don't think about, people get so excited they forget what it really takes to run something. So I think the RSS feeds are beautiful, they're simple, they're understandable. Now we need to connect those through the GUID to your Nostr. And then you have the source of truth and the origin of truth, what it's connected to. Now you can do this with almost anything. Now you can make these connections and implement these prisms and these splits. And look, I've lived on value for 15 years with no agenda. We put kids through school. We're not millionaires, but we're very comfortable and we're happy, and we only work. We work all the time, but I can do it from anywhere. I can
Just did it from Jamaica.
Yeah, exactly. Went on vacation. I do like a week a year to just not do anything, but we were missing shows because I got surgeries and stuff in my mouth. So we want to keep the amount of shows going, but to be able to do that, and then still have people support it, is beautiful, and that can be done with everything. By the way, I'm not against marketing. I think marketing is an important thing. Otherwise, you don't. I mean, I believe in the bridesmaid magazine concept, which is a bit what you do. You look at Bridesmaid magazine, and it has wedding venues and DJs and dresses, and that's what I'm getting this magazine for. I'm going to be a bride, and I want to know what I can get, and I want reviews, and I want articles, and I want happy bride stuff. I want to feel like I'm a good bride. I can go out to Fredericksburg, and I can go to a winery and get drunk. I'm with my bridesmaids. That's great and appropriate. I think the other kind of Budweiser's set their stake in the sand. This is how they want to market. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Have fun being poor.
I'm a very staunch believer. I'm very thankful for our sponsors.
You probably need them still. Yeah, I think you need them over value. But you're always in the top 10, man. The Fountain top 10.
Yeah.
How about that?
We had two. I had two in the top 5 this week.
Did you see Joe Martin music came in?
Yeah.
So
at number 10, right?
This has been my dream from back in the day. Even when I got my first license from BMI, before they could even really legally do that. So the concept is, now just take those splits into account, right? So I want to do a podcast. This is what is missing from podcasting is the ability to really play music that is licensed without getting in trouble. Because when you do that, you're violating performance rights, mechanical rights, publishing rights. You just can't do it. And you can mess around and do it. And on Twitch, they kind of let you do it, but it's not really legal. I want it to be legal, but I also want to get rid of those systems. I don't want to have people to have to wait 48 months for ASCAP or BMI to drop a penny into your bank account, and you have to go sue them every couple of years to where did my money really go. So with the splits, when you create music, typically you have the writer, the composer, and then you have the publishing. That's kind of where it all goes. But now you can keep the publishing. You can split in the musicians for whatever percentage you feel or whatever you agree. It's all transparent. Everybody can see it. And it's in real time. There's no middleman. So when I say, hey, I like this, I'm sending some sats your way, it's split up to everybody in pre-agreed system proportions as per the source of truth. So when I want to have a podcast where I can have Joe Martin on, and then when I play his song, I want the splits that come in at that moment. I still want 5% because you're on my podcast, but I want his split to be honored as well. So in that 3-4 minutes, then everything that people are boosting then, like I like the song, go through and be split up in the appropriate manner. So now we can start. So that's been the dream. Now the first part is we need to get the two sides. We need companies that publish, and we need apps that understand. And a music app you would think is inherently different from a podcast app. Now there are a couple guys like Wavelake and Dystopia, and man, even SoundCloud could do it. They have RSS feeds. They just need to enable it and put in the medium equals music tag. Very small fix for them. So they already, they're allowing their artists to publish to the index, and with just a little bit of love and enthusiasm, Joe Martin has gotten people to listen to his music on Fountain and stream sats and boost him. So this happened before I even there's like music side project. There's a couple of people starting to build the apps. Maybe it all happens in podcast apps. I don't know. I mean, you can't determine how that works, but it's happening. And he broke into the top 10. He has my goosebumps again. Like, holy crap. So we got to have him on the show. It's like, we got to figure this out because it's moving, and he gets it. He's like, I'm getting more value from Value for Value 2.0 streaming sats than in 3 weeks and 3 years on Spotify.
Yeah. That's what Sam, the co-founder of Wavelake, that's what really internalized it for me. The application of podcasting 2.0, like value for value, with music. He's like,
and no one owns these concepts. No one owns the technology. No one owns the concept. We just got to do it.
Yeah.
And they did it. And those guys went, we're just going to do this. We're going to put it out there. I mean, they had their own idea initially, and I think that they saw how that would work. And I think we also begged a little bit. Could you please? And now we're getting somewhere. This is really exciting. It's going to reinvigorate the music business, and the music business is so broken. Everybody's ready for it. Everybody's ready for this. Everyone's ready to just have something. Just give me some value back. Let me create a new product. What's the product? Transcripts are lyrics. Album cover is chapter art. I mean, it's all there. It's called different things, but it's all the same. It fits right in. Now we have cross-app comments coming, which now is based on ActivityPub. Who knows where that'll go? We have this concept called the lit tag. Yeah, which is lit, live item tag. It's an acronym. So there's a couple apps now. Podverse and CurioCaster does it, and Podcast Addict. But Podverse, I think, is the furthest along. So when you go live with your podcast, which I've been doing for almost 15 years with Dvorak, and we have a chat room. And so now you go live, you send out, I call it the bat signal, that comes from your feed, and this wonderful thing we created called PodPing, which is also, you'll see that in Nostr eventually. It's going everywhere, which instead of an app or a service polling a feed every hour, which is wasteful. Is your feed updated? Is your feed now we just have a way to go. Feed is updated. Oh, crap. Okay, feed is updated. I know I'm subscribed to this. Update the feed. Let's see what's in there. It has a lit tag equals yes. Your app says ping, no TFTC is live. And then the same app where you get your podcast, your music, it'll say live. You tap on, opens up, chat room, live stream, right there. And with boostergrams.
Yeah.
And this is off the hook, because now what's happening is, we haven't done it with no agenda yet. And there's ways that we'll integrate that, but already Podcasting 2.0, other podcasts are doing this to extreme success. It's the ultimate radio. You're talking live, people are chatting amongst themselves in the chat room, and then they can boost, and then the host can just hey, Marty just said this is cool, whatever, and he sent 50,000 sats.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as a radio guy for all my life, this is the feedback loop we always dreamed of. And people love partying with their money. It's fun, and they love numerology. The amount of 6969 boosts I've gotten is off or 88008.
Yeah, we're big palindrome fans here.
Yeah, palindromes, 420, Pi Day, all this. People are just looking for a reason.
Yeah,
and they make their own reasons, and it's human. It's a very human thing, and it's great. It's so much fun. I love talking with you about this, because I couldn't talk with Joe Rogan about this stuff. He'd be like, okay, but you get it.
Why doesn't he get it, do you think?
Oh, he gets a lot, but that's not his job. People always like, I call them the TJs. Tell Joe to get Seyfadina Moose on. Tell Joe to get there. Tell Joe. No, first of all, Joe determines who he gets on. No one tells Joe who's going to be a guest. And he's so close to being orange pilled. What do you want? So Joe, buy Bitcoin, hodl, stack sats. He's not going to do that. He is the ultimate listener. He allows people to speak, and how many times I've said, I think Elon Musk is the Kim Kardashian of tech. He's good friends with Elon. He doesn't push back on me. He might say, well, why do you think that? He has his opinions, and we communicate offline from time to time. I send him information, or I give him my thought on something, or he might just some stuff. He has opinions, but that's not the nature of the show, which is why it's so successful. He's not going to say hodl. He's not going to say stack sats. Give it up, people. And he has plenty of people who come on and talk about it. Plenty of people who've given their opinion. You don't need Saylor to go on and bore him for 3 hours. I've heard this. Saylor, everyone who who understands Saylor's a great guy, has watched all of his stuff. You don't need him to be on. It's not what Joe Rogan does. Let him be.
Yeah.
He's okay that way.
That's one of the most annoying trends on Twitter. It happens like once a week. Somebody tweets out which Bitcoiner should go on Joe Rogan.
Yeah. So
eventually,
I talked about my faith journey on Joe Rogan. Oh man, he needs this guy to go on. It's like call Jesus. Jesus needs to go on Joe Rogan. When Jesus is there, then people will all be Christians. No, that's not how it works. And just it's Joe is. He's precious. He's a precious individual. Enjoy what he does. He exposes everything, both sides. He lets all sides. He's a 3D view of people. He may have his personal, and go to his comedy club. That's more Joe's personal thinking. Mm-hmm. By the way, I love him. I mean, he's hilarious. The guy's a great comedian. That's who he is. You want us to watch his show? It's the antithesis of the prepackaged Tonight Show promotional bullshit. He's 3 hours, whatever it is. You talk, man. I'm gonna intellectually try and understand what you're saying, but he's not gonna take an opinion. He's not gonna promote anything of any kind. He's just not gonna do it. And sometimes he'll get outraged. He's mad about stuff because he's a human being, but. No, just let it be. Enjoy when he has someone on who mentions the things that you agree with. And also enjoy when he has someone on who says something counter to what you think is correct. Just enjoy that. Just let that go.
I completely agree. And I've been on the Stop Telling Joe to have people on the podcast.
STJ.
Train.
The STJ. Yeah, Stop Telling Joe.
Yeah, because as a podcast, like that's what I hate
Have you been on a show?
No, I've not.
Okay. I'll tell Joe.
I'll
tell Joe you should be on the show.
No, that's the thing I hate most is when people...
I've never told him to have anyone on,
incessantly
ever.
Tell me to have somebody on, or they reach out and say, hey, can I come on? It's like my two biggest pet peeves. It makes me not want to do it. Which I think Joe probably has a similar posture.
I've actually never been on this show.
This show?
Yeah.
You've been on it once.
When was that?
I was in St. John. This was 2020. It was in November 2020.
But that was video.
That was video.
Not the same.
Never in person.
No, not the same thing. I've never been in the studio.
Yeah, this was mid-lockdown.
Right, I do remember.
We escaped to St. John for a month because it was not locked down there.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. Yeah.
I was actually, while we were recording that, I had a direct view to Epstein's Island. I swear to God. It was
nice.
Right behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing going on in the news right now.
Well, you don't hear much about Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan. And now they've subpoenaed Sergey Brin, a couple other people.
Sergey Brin, I forget who else. But
someone else from someone else from, I forget.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that whole thing is a shit show. But, that's can't focus on it. We got stuff to build. We got stuff to do. We got children to make. Make children. Please, make children. Tonight, the word is legs. Go home. Spread the word. Make children. That's my message to you. We need children. We need children who are raised and loved and cherished and taught new values and protected.
Yes.
You might have to homeschool depending on where you live. You got to protect them.
I've got and have them young too. I know
if you can. I had my daughter very young, and I'm so happy.
Yes.
So happy.
I'm happy my parents had me young.
Yeah.
My dad died young, obviously, but I had a lot of good time with him. And
it's great. It's great to have that with your parents.
Yeah.
It is. I agree.
And I had my first child at 28, so not as young as them, but younger than
I was
the trend
23, 24.
Yeah.
My daughter Christina and I, we're good, man. We're good. She also gave me shit. She set me straight about 2015 when I divorced for the second time. 2015, yeah. And she flew out from Holland, came in and said, "Dad, I'm here to be with you for a bit, and I got to sit you down. I tell you, here's how you fucked me up. Let me tell." And it was stuff I didn't even think about. And is that the train coming to take me away?
Yes.
And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed in my life. It's like the lioness came back to tell the lion, "You're good, but I got to tell you a few things." And that was really phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so that was partially age and also just how she was raised, I think. But that was good. And having that honor your mother and father,
Yeah. No, it's no, it was because my parents were 22 when they had me. By the time I was in college, I think I had like an epiphany, like right towards the end of my college years. I was like, holy shit, you two beat yourselves up my whole life just to get me to this point. Like, not the exact same situation, but I had to sit my dad down and be like, thank you for all this. Like,
well, I had spent all my daughter's college money on helicopters and airplanes, so
yeah,
which was also fun.
Yeah, no, and it's, I mean, that's what I worry about today. It was like, I know a lot, like you said, the millennial generation's fucked up, not only financially in the job market, like a tertiary externality of that is all these dating apps and the dating culture.
It's funny you say that, because I think a lot of parents these days, well, not funny, it's interesting you say it, a lot of parents these days, like, well, that's just how it is. And I'm not sure that I agree with that.
No.
Because again, it's the in-person stuff. You know, if you really want to meet someone, I can't believe I'm sounding like Scott Galloway. But if, you know, go to the office, go and work in the office. Even if most of the people are not in the office, go work in the office. You'll meet people. You'll make friends. You know, you got, that's so important. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that human interpersonal. And I think you'll also be promoted sooner. You'll be more successful in what you do, is be with people. Don't give up and just say, oh, because I can work from home, I'm just going to work from home or whatever, or from, you know, I think it's important.
Or just because, or people are going, I don't need to go out to this party or to get coffee. I can just meet somebody on this app. That's what I think's destroyed dating cultures, like the optionality that the app.
Well,
there's always another
and now
option.
people are afraid. They don't know how. I was talking to the Meat Mafia. I love those boys, by the way.
Too.
And they came over to the house, and we had dinner with a couple people, and they were there, and we had Charles from Pharaoh.life, you know, Lord help us. And
I've been lathering that on my face.
Oh my God, it's so
months.
good. I mean, it's like, look, my neck, I'm like a 20-year-old with my neck, you know, thank you. No crep neck. And they were talking about, you know, how difficult it is, not for them, but to approach women. And women are not, they're, what do you do? You're talking to me? What, you know, there's a void there that is starting to build that I think is very concerning.
Yeah.
Especially, these are good-looking, successful young men. This is one you want to bring home to mom, okay? And, you know, for that distance to be there for whatever reason, wow, that's disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Meat Mafia guys are catch if you can get them, girls.
I think it's over now. I think that they're both. Tina keeps track of that. She's like, yeah, I see what Brett's doing. Okay, you doing okay? Yeah.
No, but I actually had a proud older brother moment a couple weeks ago. My brother lives in Austin too, and he did the old fashioned, like met a girl at a party and texted her out of the blue, invited her to Joe Rogan's comedy. The mothership.
Yep.
They went on a nice old fashioned.
They went on a date.
Cold reach out date.
Wow. And people, I was like, a lot of people in the club, and they're all close together, and it's fun, and it's a real vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
That club is a great place to take a date to. Yeah. I would agree. That's a great place.
That's actually funny. It was the first date me and my wife went on was the Comedy Cellar in New York when we were living out there.
That's a great dating. I will take my wife on a date there. She went with me to the opening, but we should just go just to have a date, just to sit there together and laugh and have a drink. And yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we used to do the Cellar like once every 3 months. And the first time, it was so funny. I was so nervous.
In the city?
In New York City, yeah. In the West Village.
Yeah, yeah.
The first time we started dating when I was like 21. So I was still in college. Like we were long distance. I was in Chicago. She was in New York. Flew up to New York for the first time. We'd started kissing that summer. And then we were in Jersey, and then I went back to Chicago. She went back to New York. Flew out to New York.
You got a great wife, by the way.
I do.
She's fantastic.
I'm very lucky.
Yes, you do.
As do you. We're both very lucky.
Thank
men.
you. I finally got it right. Finally got it right. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Cellar, I made the idiot mistake. We show up, and they're like, "Oh, where do you want to sit? There's two of you. Like, do you want to sit front row?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to sit front row." And we just got torched. It was like Dave Attell, a couple of the other big names were just like,
there's like, you're an easy target.
Yeah,
I'm going after
you. I had like my arm around her.
Yeah.
Like, are you two in love? It was like we're like 3 weeks in. I was like, God damn it.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble now. Yeah, that's good. Which actually probably was good.
Yeah.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, it was great. There's no better date than a comedy show.
I agree.
Yeah. It's and we got to bring it back.
Well, Joe's doing it. I mean, the comedy I saw here in Austin was not your typical Austin language.
No,
I would say no. I mean, you know, Joe is he's a phenomenal comedian, and I had no idea. He just like 45-minute set. You know, it's just like, and I'd never seen him nervous. Because this was the second night. So the first night, he said, "Don't come the first night." So I was messed up. You know, everyone's getting figured out. And so he came up to see us before the show, and I've never seen him so wired, man. He was just like, you know, it was noticeable. And but man, is he good?
Yeah,
he is so good.
I saw him at the Vulcan down the street before he opened the mothership. It's probably about this time last year. It was right after he got canceled for people pulling out the old tapes, the things he was saying.
Making a compilation. He actually talked about that in his set, which is pretty funny. Yeah, pretty funny.
And the lineup that night was awesome. It was like Tony Hinchcliffe, a bunch. I think Neil Brennan was there. A bunch of other big names.
Tony from Kill Tony.
Yeah,
that guy's good.
Yeah, I found out we go to the same barber here in Austin.
I don't know if that's a plus.
You don't for him or for me?
I don't know. I don't see any hair. I don't even get a hat on. What are you hiding under there?
A baldness.
Oh, okay. I hear you. I'm sorry, brother.
I'll get it. I'm not gonna do hair plugs. Don't worry.
You got to do whatever you want to do. I'd be honest. I don't think Elon Musk would be half as successful as he is today if he didn't do plugs. If he didn't have that luscious head of that thing on his head, which I mean, he looked really, and you know, now he's getting middle aged. He's getting paunchy. That would have just. I think that was probably a good call on his part, but. You got to make that up for yourself, you know. It's like women do this all the time. Men can do so. I'm vain.
Yeah, he sort of looked like Gollum back in the PayPal days.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh dude.
Yeah. But I think I definitely agree with you. I think he is like the Kardashian of the tech scene. And people don't realize he didn't start Tesla.
No, it was bought for him, and his handler, as far as I'm concerned, is Rudolf Buta. Is that his name? Rolf Buta at Sequoia, who was then. A limited partner, and now he's, I think, the CEO. Mike Moritz has, gone chairman or whatever. So that was bought for him. SpaceX is great. I mean, that came with the U.S. government built in. He's a government guy who works for government subsidies and government contracts.
Yeah, I mean, the whole renewable energy grift really drives.
Yeah, and and he knows what he knows what he's talking about. I mean. I understand. I mean, I could talk that way. In fact, I have in many ways about all kinds of technology that I can't code myself. But I don't think he's a coder necessarily.
No. And
he came from an interesting place. The PayPal mafia. So about Twitter, which now he's trolling everybody with the dog. What is that thing? The
Doge.
The Doge dog. Which is kind of triggering because I loaded up today and it flashes like for a second before, and which really made me go to Nostr. Mm-hmm. Typically, I go to podcastindex.social first, noagendasocial.com second, then I'll go to Twitter, and recently I've been going to Nostr first before everything else, and Twitter is completely last on the list. It was just triggering, so I went straight back to Nostr. But his dream has always been WeChat. He wants to create the largest financial institution in the world. He's not shy about it either. That was his dream with X.com at PayPal. They kicked him out because of it, I think, or whatever. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but he has the domain name, and it's been his thing. And that could be his albatross. Honestly, I think he will pull it off. I think he will create this fiat wonder world where people will put their money because you will get interest. He has also said negative interest. So, hello, that sounds almost CBDC-like. Maybe, since he seems to be a government guy, maybe that's where CBDC gets rolled out.
Yeah, that's a big question because if a CBDC does get rolled out, you're going to need a public-private partnership. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've got, I think, 3 ideas in my head of who it may be. Circle with USDC. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're with the banking crisis trying to force them into the systemically important banks, and then at some point in the future they'll be like, all right, Circle, you're building our CBDC. WorldCoin, Sam Altman's other project. I'm
not familiar with. I mean,
the Orb.
Is that the one that has like a stock price or like $122 or something? WorldCoin.
I don't know what the price is. You're not aware of this?
Vaguely, no.
So he launched it in 2021. Mm-hmm. Essentially, It's like a cryptocurrency, but
A shit coin?
a shit coin, but you get access to it by scanning your retina
Oh, yay, yippee.
in this orb. And then
How did I miss this?
So
This sounds like so much fun.
you scan your retina, you get a wallet, and they airdrop some shit coins into it. And obviously, with everything going on with ChatGPT right now, like, and how fast that's growing, and people don't really realize WorldCoin is pushing forward in Africa. They're scanning people's retinas in Africa right now.
Oh, that's sad.
So that's number 2.
Well, so he's like the Bill Gates of shitcoin.
Yes. Well, that's what's scary. If you combine the open AI shit with the WorldCoin stuff, that's where you get really dystopian. And then obviously Elon trying to create WeChat over here.
Yeah. So I'm just not so bullish on AI, you know, the ChatGPT. I mean, it's like, even though I've been corrected, I still believed in the myth that we only use 10% of our brain. You know, fMRI shows that's not true. We use 100% of our brain all the time. But the plasticity of my brain, it goes I see when people try to I was wrong about the Budweiser thing, completely wrong about Bud Light. I thought that was AI imagery. Because I was biased, I could not believe that any brand manager, certainly not from Budweiser, would do that. But, you know, it's like, I can see it. You know, you feel it. It's like, you know what else didn't work? Amazon's Echo, you know, and Siri. These things didn't really take off. That humanization of technology. And I mean, everything I read that they create is flowery. If you really know what you're talking about, this goes back to the autopilot stuff. Like, I know how to fly the airplane, so I am skilled enough to trust the autopilot to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. And I know when it's off. I know when it's doing something wrong, and I know how to jump in. And that you'll always have glitches. So I think that my brain, for where this stuff will come into my life, and of course it's already there to a degree, my brain will always recognize it. And, you know, I may use some of it for a tool, but people will get all jacked like, oh, I don't have to write a resume. Okay. You know, I don't have to write my college paper. Okay. You know, that is going to come around to bite you one way or the other. And I think people who read resumes and read theses and papers can see through it, because their brain will grow with the capability of AI. Your brain has plasticity. It can expand and become smarter.
Yeah.
Which may be the good thing about ChatGPT. Maybe, because already, you know, the first thing I look at a picture is how many fingers. You know, that's the first thing I'm looking at. And this mid-range, is that the
Mid-Journey.
Mid-Journey. Like, someone said, oh, here's my Mid-Journey of Adam Curry. Like, that's not me. You know, my wife, that's not you.
I use Mid-Journey for the thumbnails, for the bent, just because I don't feel like stealing stuff from Google anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm not like, oh, this is going to take over everything. Yeah, you know what? The open letter from the what's the name of the organization?
I forget.
Science for Life or something. Look at who's on that. Look at the board. Look at the people who work there. Yeah, no shit. You should be afraid of this. You're idiots. Yeah. They're probably afraid AI is going to take over their job. Yeah, that will happen. Of course. You know, there's lots of jobs that have gone away. It's progress. It's, you know, McDonald's just announced, you know, oh, we're shutting down the offices, regrouping, restructuring. Well, hello. Of course it's going to be automation. Of course they're going to get rid of the front of house, which means you can get rid of, and, you know, they're a real estate company, really. Mm-hmm. That's what corporate really is. And, you know, and then you have all these owner operators, and it's just going to be, the ordering will be automated. Like, that's not hard to see that was going to happen. The problem is it went from being a job that you had on weekends to help pay for your college tuition or some beer money to a full-time vocation for people, thanks to the fiat, you know, world that we live in. So, you know, we have to fix a lot of other things. I'm just not worried about ChatGPT eating the world.
No, and I've tested it just to see, like, if it could write, like, it fed it some of my old newsletters to see if it could, like, replicate my voice. And it can. For me personally, like, when
I see any type of AI replicate President Trump's voice and what he says and his cadence, which no one can do. I mean, the one guy on Saturday Night Live, he's pretty good, but what he says, I mean, I've heard that to me is almost the litmus test right there. Mm-hmm. That's like the Turing test for ChatGPT. Let me see you do a good Trump. Everybody knows Trump. Everybody knows how he talks. Everybody knows his thinking, what he says and what he won't say, then there's so much to it, the cadence, the pacing. I think it's a parlor trick. I really do. I think most of it's a parlor trick because it types it out. Oh, it's like someone's typing to me. Ooh, that makes it really, even that, Neva, the search engine, there's a bunch of Google guys left. Actually, the guy who was in charge of revenue for Google, he started Neva, N-E-V-A. You pay $5 a month for it. So, and I'm sure that, of course, I'm not stupid that my stuff can't be stolen or they can't, profile me or whatever. But that's their terms of service, so they're not going to do that. So they've had a chat GPT type AI for quite a while now, before Google Barf and all that other stuff came out. And they're just making fun of it now. Now you can just do @country, and then it'll answer in a country voice. You can do @Einstein. It'll answer, and they also give you the sources, which is something that ChatGPT doesn't do yet. So, that's from this website. Click. Because when I said, "Tell me about Adam Curry," it was like, well, when Adam Curry was deplatformed from Twitter, which I've never been, and he and Tina have one child together. I'm like, Tina, what did you do with our child when I was deplatformed from Twitter? So it's you can't trust it. The minute you can't trust the system, the trust is gone. It never comes back. If I couldn't trust the autopilot on a Cirrus SR22, I would never trust it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. So I trust it. I know who makes it. I understand Garmin. I understand what's going on. I understand the multiple 3 redundant systems. I feel good about it. But I have my eye on it, and I know how to override it.
Well, and with ChatGPT particularly, like, people already don't trust it because there's very obvious inherent bias that have been written into.
Of course,
yeah.
So I don't think it has the legs that people. And if anything, it's going to be great. It's going to destroy these big tech companies because they're running so fast. I mean, Google turned on a dime. Oh no, ChatGPT. Everyone, all focus, all hands. Let's do ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And now, no more staplers.
Yeah.
By the way, when you take the stapler away, sometimes the office building burns down. You got to be especially if it's a red stapler. You got to be very careful. Google, know your culture.
What was his name? Milton
Milton, I think it was.
Milton.
My stapler.
Excuse me, can you come back here?
Office Spaces. I forget. Was it Milton? I think it was Milton.
I think it was Milton. Yeah. Great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Can you get me those TPS reports?
What is it you do here exactly? There's going to be a lot of those conversations with AI.
Yeah.
I'm a people person.
You know that 50% by Google Italy's own numbers, 50% of people search for something in TikTok before they search in Google?
Yeah. That's why the Restrict Act's coming out. I mean,
yes, but it won't make any difference. I mean, now I'll just go to Nostr. Hey, what's a great restaurant in Austin that isn't too nuts?
And you'll get answers.
You get answers. Of course you get answers, human answers, and for free, and without tracking you and without selling my profile, and probably with love.
Yeah.
With love.
No, that's one thing. I mean, I wanted to touch on it earlier, but I was going to show you this. Like the design landscape of Nostr is really exciting because people are really focused on the Twitter-like clients right now. But we built this bridge from Ghost where we publish our newsletter. And this is a Nostr client right here, Habla.
Habla. Never even heard of Habla.
Exactly. So it doesn't look like a Twitter. It looks like a.
So how does that? That's like, so we're on type 1, which is like the Twitter type. But what is this? Is this?
So this is like a Substack on Nostr.
Does that have a type? Like a Nostr type?
Yes, it's a NIP.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
NIP 26, I believe, is the NIP that enables this type of content visualization.
And I can subscribe to that in any Nostr client?
No, I think it has to be NIP 26 compliant.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right.
And those compliant clients.
And Habla, I can just get Habla, and I can do how do I subscribe to this? How do I follow this?
You go to Habla. You log in with your private key, and you follow. This is coming from Scrib, which is the company we spun out to
Scrib.
Yeah, to package our BTC Pay server Ghost integration and give it to more people so they could do it easily. But then DJ has been building it, became like enthralled with Nostr, and so we built this bridge. So anytime we publish on Ghost, like I don't even have to publish on Habla.
Yeah, it goes straight through, which is the way it should be.
We just have a webhook.
And you can zap this, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. That's why I wanted to bring it up earlier, because with these newsletters, like you zap
I typically just do the invoice I get it I get the email and I take the email and then I pay the invoice and then magically I can read it.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I would like
this is even cooler.
I would like it too if I go to my Nostr profile and with my Elon address, whatever, just do splits like, hey,
Sexy.
80% to me, 10% to
Yeah. Well, it's all going to come. It's all going to come.
10% to the client.
Once people get past it's all Nostr, someone's got to build some shit. We got some stuff to build, but it's going to be cool.
How do you think you brought up the relay problem earlier. How do you think we solved that?
The same way we solved Lightning. We need gossip servers, I guess, or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm only just getting it, really just understanding. Oh, okay, I see I see the possibilities. But clearly it's vulnerable right now. There's a lot. One way is it's a little scary for people, but Umbrel is really a beautiful. And there's Start 9, there's other versions of it. It's really, I thought a long time ago in the late 90s, like, you'll have a server, your house will come with a thing, and the thing is going to have media on it, Plex. Your thing's going to have, or whatever the different versions or the open source. It'll be your last yard so that it's downloaded stuff, so then when you want to watch something, this is before we had bandwidth, it flies in, it'll subscribe to stuff. It will have home automation, which I personally don't care for, but I like walking to the light switch. And it will be your wallet. So I run several Umbrels for different reasons, and it does. It's I use it for my Pi hole. So through my Tailscale, so my phone, which is Graphene OS. It's like it does DNS lookups to my Umbrel, to my Pi hole, and it's all through the Magic DNS and all that stuff they've got going on. So I'm a realist, but it makes me feel powerful, and that's my Lightning wallet. That's my I have money there. I have stuff I can do. I can transact. Of course, when it comes to publishing, that's when it kind of goes to shit, because the minute you have to do a reverse proxy and punch a hole in your cable modem firewall, and then you need SSL certs, this is where it gets complicated for mere mortals. So that all will eventually be solved, and that'll get much better. And of course, then we have the upstream problem of cable providers, and Tor solves some of that. But we're plastic. We have plasticity, man. We're going to figure this stuff out. Where there's a desire, we'll do that. I think we'll figure these things out for sure.
I think it's happening right now.
Slowly but surely. A lot of it is. Yeah.
I think there have been a lot of people that have woken up to, all right, things are
like Lightning. My node works fine over Tor.
Yeah.
And and that's Tor has its own issues, but I am publishing stuff through Tor. It's financial stuff. It's ledger stuff. It's not a ghost blog, but I'm publishing stuff that way. And enough other servers understand and use Tor that it's not necessary, to have that any other way. So I can get rid of a lot of the hurdles. So,
yeah.
And just Tailscale has changed my life.
I can't remember the last time a Lightning payment failed on me.
Oh no! No, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. No, we do have, because podcast index. If you go to v4vstats.com, we're now publishing what we think. Right, so we got 1%. We think of most all the transactions, but of course not everyone does that. I'm sure. So it's still kind of a guess. Lots of disclaimers on the page. So we have amount of sats. The fiat amount, which is marginally interesting, the number of transactions, number of what we think is unique people, and it's amazing how much is flowing through the ecosystem right now. Now, of course, my own node fails from time to time. Channel gets closed. The Zappapalooza was kind of fucked up. Because what happens is we route a lot through podcastindex.org. So if something times out or fails, then the channels along that route get closed.
Yeah.
So we had like 80 channels closed. Like, oh man, you know what a pain in the... And of course with ordinals right at that moment, it's like, that was an expensive little process for us to reopen channels. Right. When you got, 26 sats per V byte, and it's like, holy crap, man. That kind of sucked. That it evened out. Stuff worked, but yeah. Sometimes, especially you have like 9 splits in a feed in a podcast. Yeah, something can fail.
Yeah,
and we're getting better at alerting people to that. And some like I still love Breeze, man. It's such a great wallet and podcast app because it does swaps for on chain. It only has value enabled podcasts, which has its benefits. And if you're using it offline, it stacks the sats and sends them as soon as it can. And I think it retries stuff if there's a failed payment. So, there's a lot of work to do. It's always a lot of. We've been doing this now for almost 3 years, and now I feel comfortable, like to say to someone, yeah, you can get this app.
I think it's the first killer app of the Lightning Network, easily.
The first what?
Killer app of the Lightning Network.
I agree. I mean, not only that, I mean, it was really interesting because we're micropayments. So this was the dream. The dream of the internet was your fridge is going to know when you run out of milk, it's going to automatically order it and it will show up at your house and you'll have your milk. That still hasn't happened. But micropayments was the promise. And this cannot be underestimated. And when we were part of one of the first conference calls with Lightning Labs, and it was roast beef. What's his name? Ulao. What's his name? Lalu. Close. Racist. The guy was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Only podcast you have to watch at 0.5 speed.
Yeah, that's another conversation. And I said, hey, we're having problems with micro.
Look at this, like one set.
I got to show you the index one. This will blow you away. So I said, we're having a real problem with micropayments. What can we do to make this? Cause we're talking people who send 5 sats a minute. It's like, and his answer was, tell them to send bigger payments. All right, fuck you, got it. It was so disappointing. So disappointing, and luckily a lot of other people understand what we're talking about. So the killer app, it also showed people that people were willing to part with their sats, and this is what Nostr, of course, is now elevated, as to an extreme. Is people, yeah, sure, we all hodl and we all stack sats, but now we're just off the hook. People are sending, and a very giving community. Here it comes. So I'm going to show you this. So this is, let me see. Yeah. So this is every single time podcast index gets a 1% payment. It's just nonstop. Yeah. 24. It's a flywheel. Yeah. 24 hours a day.
3 payments in the last minute.
Oh, it just goes on and on and on. And so these are real people sending real money value in real time, and we're getting our little piece of it to keep our engine running. Everyone out, the flywheel runs for everybody. Look at it, boom, boom, boom. It's just nonstop. Yeah. I will look at this. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and said, I love this. I love this. And you can see this as a podcaster. You can see this as an app developer. You will see, and it's like here, 1115, 123. A boostergram comes through. We get a little more. It's just nonstop. It is one of the most phenomenal. My friend, a former New York banker, he's still a banker, but he doesn't work at a bank anymore. I showed him this 2 years ago, and he said, "You're a genius." I said, "I don't know about that." He said, This is what everyone, it's always about the fees. Yeah. It's always about the fees. That's what banks want. They just want the fees. And you're showing me this. It's nonstop. He hates Bitcoin, loves the Lightning networks. Like, you understand what you're saying? It's like you got a problem with what you're saying, which I think is also Lightning Labs. I think they may kind of also hate Bitcoin. They always want to shove something else through the Lightning network. So
you're not a big taro bull?
Yeah. Taro, what do you call it?
Taro.
When you said taro bull?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, stop. Stop trying to shove stuff through here. Yeah. I like this. This is good.
That's what there's, I have good friends at Lightning Labs, but.
Yeah, me too. I love Ryan. It's like, there's all kinds of cool people there.
Taro, particularly the focus on like getting stable coins.
Yeah.
Going through this, like stable coins are inherently unstable. Like,
yes.
The whole point is to replace
that. Yes.
The dollar with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
well, it seems like that's on a standstill now for copyright issues. I don't know if or trademark. Wasn't there some other company that
Oh yeah, yeah. There was some shitcoin
some
company.
cease and desist, whatever, for a while there. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they've got to hold that up. It's a whole shit show. But no, it's happening. Like Lightning, like podcasting 2.0, like music, an RSS feed, quasi podcasting 2.0, music, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Music 2.0.
Vita, they're implementing it into like VoIP and SIP, like those open protocols. That
right,
is
right.
Web 3.0, even though I hate the meme. Like that is
That's
the right way.
where you get paid for someone to call you. Was that it?
Yeah, where you just have final settlement of the phone traffic immediately.
I had that with someone who reached out to me. I think one of the authors of Thank God for Bitcoin. It's a great book because
was it Jordan or I think Lyle might have.
No, must have been Jordan.
Jordan Bush.
Yeah, I think so. And he reached out to me, and it was through some system where I replied to him, and it was like, he's not going to get your message until you pay, set up a system and pay whatever SaaS. I'm like, well, that's it wasn't hard to do, actually. It kind of works. I'm like, oh. And then we had our little, maybe it was text message.
Yeah, it was Vita. This is Vita.
It was Vita, and it was back and forth. Like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I mean, I'm not, but I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for Bitcoin. It's a great book.
It is. It's somewhere up here.
It's very interesting.
It's right there. Yeah. No, it is. Going back to like the religious balance. I mean, obviously discussed it on Rogan, but it's been top of my mind, obviously the last week, but even more so since I had children, like getting away from the degenerate hedonistic culture that has been.
We're here for you, brother Marty. Anytime, brother. Anytime you're ready. We're here for you.
No, but it is like thinking of thank God for Bitcoin, like, and going back and reading the Gospel of John over the last week, like there is that part of the Bible where Jesus goes into the temple and throws out the money changers.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
overturns the tables. And man, he did. Beautiful Outlaw is a book I'm almost finished. Mm-hmm. And so someone sent it to me because I actually got this from Texas Slim. He said, because I got, there were a couple of Christian men in my life who kind of lifted me up. And it was Slim who said, Jesus was a badass outlaw, man. I'm like, oh, that's a great line. I'm totally using that on Rogan. Although I didn't even know it at the time, but I knew that was going to come in handy. And he was, before he went into the temple and overturned the tables and threw the change he built a whip, and this whip, he was a real badass outlaw. It took him a while to build this whip, and there was not just some little whip, because he had to get all these animals out, and then, and just imagine the mayhem, like yelling fire in a crowded theater. It must have been crazy. So, that's also in this Beautiful Outlaw book. When we think of Jesus, all like the beautiful baby in the manger, and like, all the art is like love, and it's like Gandhi was like that, but Jesus was funny.
Yeah.
He would when he came back, he went to his boys and said, "Hey, how was the fishing? Catch anything?" He's like, no, they didn't know it was him. And they're like, well, throw your net over there, man. It was like guys on a fishing trip. All this. He was a guy. He was a dude.
Yeah, and he was very confident too.
He liked wine.
Truly, I tell you. Yeah, no, it's weird growing up like Catholic, went to Catholic school. I think it jaded me.
A lot of people would say that, or any. My parents, they were Unitarian. And what turned me off is, like, I remember I had to get up one Sunday morning, like 3, and drive in Holland, drive for a couple hours. A few more families were Unitarian, went up on the hill. There was almost no hills in Holland, so you had to really drive somewhere to get there. And then we watched the sunrise, and on a little cassette player, they played Cat Stevens' Morning Has Broken. I'm like, that triggered me and just fucked me up for the rest of my life. I hate that song. Morning has broken. Like, no, this is not for me. It's not going to do it for me. So,
what's his name now? Yusuf?
Yeah, I think Yusuf Islam. Yeah. He had other cool songs, Ban Apple Gas, some other things that were interesting. But yeah, no, I'm coming to all this late in life, and I'm very happy. And I'm happy that I have a wonderful partner, my wife, figuring this out. We have a great church. We have a great pastor, which I think is really key. And it's been life-changing. And all of this fits into it, Marty. That's what's so crazy. I've been deconstructing with Pastor Jimmy. We've been deconstructing Bitcoin. How does this fit in with the Lord? How does this fit in with Jesus? Is this Noah's Ark 2.0? Value for value, like time, talent, and treasure. That's right from the Bible. I didn't even know it.
Really?
I know, I didn't even know it. There's all kinds of value for value stuff in Scripture. Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
God works in mysterious ways.
yeah, yes, he does. Yes, he does.
What have you learned most about your deconstruction with Bitcoin? And
well, I would have to say, Thank God for Bitcoin is a great book, because when you read about how, well, for the love of money is the root of all evil. You know, it's right there. And how the love of money has turned into coin clipping and all versions of fiat, and it always ends poorly. You know, so by the way, I don't think we're going to go hyperinflation, hyper Bitcoinization overnight. You know, they could keep this thing going for another decade.
I don't think
know.
$1 million Bitcoin by June 15th.
I love it. I love the guy for saying that. Go $1 million. Go Max Kaiser 220. I mean, go. But I don't know. But also, I'm okay. So, you know, early on, people were sending me Bitcoin in 2010 to 2011. And like, this is something you need to look at. And Dvorak and I were like, it's Beanie Babies for the internet. This bullshit. But I had a wallet and I had 65 Bitcoin in there. And, you know, it was like, oh, you know, I'll hodl that forever. No, you won't. And you would have bought a pizza for 10,000 BTC. And when it hit 900, I sold it all. Like, look at this. I can't believe this profit. You know, nothing wrong with taking profit. That was my learning. And then when we dipped below 4,000 during COVID, Tina and I went, we know what to do.
It's funny, we were talking about Balaji. This was his company, spun up in 2016, 21Co.
What's that?
This was a Bitcoin miner that didn't produce.
Oh, how cute!
Didn't produce many Bitcoin, and I paid.
Very cute.
So this is my lesson. I paid a Bitcoin for this.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't have.
A good lesson. It's beautiful though. What a nice piece.
Yeah.
So that was my learning, you know, and now it's like luckily I'm in the Lightning ecosystem, so I get Lightning Sats. They're in the same wallet. I send them right out to other podcasts. I use it to send to Nostr. So we have a circular economy. I don't, you know, I do DCA. We do DCA every day. Every day we're purchasing Bitcoin, and that just goes into cold storage, and we don't touch it and just let it build. We don't look at it. We don't. And yeah, sometimes like, oh, what's Bitcoin at? But we don't really care, because that's not what it's for. You know, I love having sats to transact with and do stuff, and I actually build up enough that I can pay the equivalent of $600 to Cole in Bitcoin to buy, you know, a third of a cow or whatever, you know, whatever we're in for. So I feel so empowered, and I just look at the news of, oh, you know, the dollar it's down to 101 to DXY today. It's like, I don't have to worry about that. I feel empowered. Like, oh, we have value. We got our value in our house. We got our value in Bitcoin. We got our value in, you know, that's really, it just feels good. So if it goes, I mean, if it went to 220, we've already decided we'll pay off the cars and we take one private flight.
That's it?
That's all we do. If it goes to 220, that's all we do.
You have to enjoy it on the way up too.
Of course. No, you have to. That would be great. We made all of our kids Satoshi millionaires. They got their own wallet. Here's 1 million sats.
That used to be my go-to wedding gift, is like million, put it on an open dime, like 1 million sats. And
love it. Yeah.
Or now sats card. But no, it's great. Like beyond DCA is obviously like a great first step. But like once you have like the streams I get from Rabbit Hole Recap and TFTC, it's addicting seeing that. And then I've got miners plugged in. I go check.
Same thing. It's $2 every day, which is not bad actually for some couple of S9s in the garage. And that's been recently. You know, I don't know why, but whatever. And we just do it through what's the pool?
Use Brains or
use Brains, yes. And who are the pool guys? That there's two pools. Anyway, doesn't matter. And that sweeps in, you know, when it hits 100,000 sats or whatever, and it's just feels good. But I'm with you, man. I mean, it's coming in. And by the way, we just started, as of yesterday, the No Agenda show will take a Lightning payment through IBEX, because, you know, Dvorak has his real hair up his ass. And rightfully so, about the IRS. He doesn't want Bitcoin touching the organization, so we sweep it straight to fiat fund coupons overnight. Fine by me. And I've been hounding those guys, get your key send working, because we got to have it work. I mean, it's crazy that podcasting 2.0, that we can't actually take that officially into, a lot of it goes to the index, and we pay the artists and anyone else who, the clip custodian and Dreb Scott who does chapters. We're just giving it away basically. But the amounts are smaller. But I've got John C. Dvorak to actually accept Bitcoin. Not totally, but at least, you can pay with it.
There's a big step there.
For him, it's huge.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
When do podcasting 2.0 value for value contributors get executive?
Well, we're still going to keep the same numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the show on this coming Thursday, we have at least one $50 equivalent. And we have one, it's John's birthday on Wednesday. So the numbers, he turned 71. The number is 71. So there's definitely a 71 payment in there, and they will be credited. Now, of course, here's the fun part: is people forget that they have to put their name in the memo, because you're just a number. You're just a string of shit. I don't know who you are. So people are forgetting to put it in the memo. It would use LN URL standard, so you can fill in your own amount and put anything you want into the memo field. So people are putting in Happy Birthday, John, but they forget to say who it is. So they'll learn. It's a learning process. We all have to learn.
Well, in the future, will I be able to show you? So right now, I just checked my phone. Now that's why my phone out. I've contributed over 1 million sats to No Agenda.
Thank you, brother. Well, you've actually given it to the ecosystem.
To the ecosystem.
Yeah, given it to the artists. You've given it to Podcast Index. You've given it to the chapter guys, clip custodian, people who contribute content. Thank you very much.
Oh, well,
yeah,
thank you for doing what you do.
Well, so yes, the boostergrams is the solution, obviously.
Okay.
The boostergram, and that needs to flow through. Again, for business reasons, we have 50-50 partnership. Either one can veto anything. So it's been Bitcoin has been a veto from John for all this time. I think mainly because he felt bad that he missed out.
John.
I know. I can say you can get in any time, man. So I think he doesn't even believe that anything will come in. He's like, yeah, maybe someone will have a Bitcoin laying around. They'll send it to us. No, it's not quite how it's going to work. But okay. So once IBEX has, they're busy. Everyone's busy. Once they have enabled key send, and you can, it's not even that hard. I don't think. Easy for me to say. Then boostergrams will flow all the way through with the name, with the amount. We'll have the original SAT value, so we get the numerology flowing through, etc. It's very important.
Yes, it is.
Really important. We'll get there. Yeah. I'm so excited. It's just the fact that you are giving 1 million sats to No Agenda is fucking crazy. I love that.
That's
thank you. I love that.
I think I have my stream at like 80 sats per minute, and you guys obviously record for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm 200 for any podcast. 200 sats a minute for any podcast. I don't know why. I just felt good, and it kind of keeps my income and my outflows on par. Mm-hmm. So I'm never really moving too far ahead or falling too far behind. So I'm just trying to flow it right back out to everybody else.
All right, I gotta adjust my streams. So I was going off of what I see people give me, and like via the breakdown, like, all right.
People are always cheap asses, man. They don't understand how hard it is to do this stuff. We make it look easy, Marty Bent. Make it look easy.
There's a lot that goes into this.
Yes, of course.
Logan does a lot of work after these shows. Yeah.
He's on his phone.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What? He's looking at the sats streaming in.
I'm writing a novel's worth of timestamps for this episode.
He's getting the chapters ready.
Cool. You do chapters?
Yeah.
God bless you, man. I love it. And you have transcript as well?
We do. We use an AI for the transcript.
Yeah, I still use Otter, which is bad. It sucks, but I still use it.
What do we use?
We use Descript.
Descript, yeah. Or in England they say Descript.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Descript is pretty good. It's not a bad system.
I'm not the best enunciator, so.
Otter still, every single show, it's John C. Dvorak, so it's John C. Dvorak. In Otter AI, it's JAHNSI Dvorak. So people actually will email, hey, say hi to John C. John C. Dvorak. And I've corrected it. I've told this stupid AI, no, John C. Dvorak. It shows up with his name. I put it in there, it tags the voices, John C. Dvorak. But every single time, John C. JHNSI. Hello, we're all going to die from ChatGPT.
They're going to kill us.
Yeah, our AI overlords are going to kill us.
The whole AGI is going to kill humanity. It's never made sense to me because they literally need us to plug in the computers and make them run.
Yeah,
if they are that logical.
And if you feel like it's taking over your life, just put the phone down, close the laptop, go out for a walk.
I've had 9
Go to a comedy club, take a date, kiss.
I've had 9 days of no computer, laptop, really. And it's been, I hopped back on Twitter.
Decluttering is good, man. It's good.
This morning for the first time, I was like, people, what the hell is Dogecoin doing on Twitter? And why are people yelling about CZ and Binance? I was like,
Decluttering is really, really good. Tina taught me how to become a minimalist. I'm not there yet, but I'm doing pretty good. We have a lot less stuff in general, but also we're turning off the TV. I stopped watching Tucker Carlson in general. I still will check in to see what's going on, but it's all part of the American media model is divisiveness, strife, and outrage, and the algos are built for it. That's why TikTok is winning. TikTok is winning because they're like, oh, you want to be all over here with, you love Bitcoin, you're over here. You want to hate Bitcoin, you're over here. They suppress the two, keep them apart. And that's why it's Chinese. The American media model is inject someone with a counter narrative, and that flows through the mainstream media. It flows through the politicians. It's all built on that, and it's not healthy. It's not who we get spun up. People get spun up.
No, and it's really astonishing how people haven't caught on to this is exactly what they're trying to do. Let's roll.
When Tucker Carlson started doing 20 minutes at the top of his show about Don Lemon, I'm like, fuck you. Okay, and none of it's important. Is it really important to watch Trump get indicted today? Is it you really have to sit? I come from television. I come from this mainstream garbage. It's something called the tension arc. And the tension arc is meant, whether it's a live show, whether it's a produced show, whether it's a drama, it doesn't matter. You build up the arc and you get in somewhere and bam, cut to commercial. Your mind is open. Wow, I'm going to take in all these drug commercials, take in all the fast food commercials. Wow, I'm back. Okay, I'm picking up the arc again. It's designed that way. And social media is the same thing. It's just they have more elements to take you through that arc. The minute it feels you're going to slow down, he may be leaving, send those 4 likes now. Don't send them when someone hits like, send them now. Mm-hmm. It's all fucked.
Yeah.
So you got to be aware of that.
Yeah, because you and John touched on that in last Thursday's episode, that tension arc. And it's crazy. I never thought about that. The commercial break is...
Oh, yeah.
Right at a point.
It's not by accident that you get McDonald's, Pizza Hut, greasy stuff, and followed by Ozempic weight loss. It's for diabetes weight loss. Oh, the actors and actresses are using it. Mm-hmm. Big controversy. Ozempic. People with diabetes can't get it. That's okay. We have the same fucking drug with a different name for 3 times the price that you can get on Medicare or through your insurance. And then the weight loss people, actors and actresses in Hollywood, you can get that to lose weight. What they don't tell you is you'll be shitting, puking, you'll have eye trouble, joint pain, and when you stop, you gain the weight back.
And doesn't it mess up your face? Give you
Ozempic face, yeah. Ozempic face, yeah. And you get Ozempic face to boot, which some actresses like because look, I don't need the Botox. Except you have to keep taking it, and then then people get bad looking face.
Yeah,
it's
crazy. Never. Will the commercials tell you to go shake your rancher's hand or eat right?
John C. Dvorak would say, we can solve a lot of this just by making drug commercials on television illegal. We're one of 2 countries that allow it, us and New Zealand. That's the only 2. Make that illegal, we solve a lot of problems. I mean, we've got our kids on meth.
Literally.
It is to say, yeah, it is Adderall, Vyvanse. My kid would, I have 3 daughters, 2 stepdaughters. at some point in their 20s, all of them have been prescribed and have taken meth legally from the doctor. They've all got, I think they're all off of it now because they're smart and they have smart parents and step-parents who kind of say, hey, you know, do you like meth? You know, you see that guy who's taking apart the bike? That could be you. Antidepressants, of which we don't even know how they really work. And then we have stuff when your antidepressant doesn't work that you take on top of it. And then when you lose your libido, then we've got, you know, then we're going to give you Viagra. And it's just, when growing up in Europe, we used to laugh about Americans. They think a pill will fix everything. Now Europe, you know, the happiest place on earth is Finland. It used to be Denmark, now it's Finland. Coincidentally, also the most prescribed antidepressants in the world is in these Scandinavian countries. Mm-hmm. That's where your happiness index comes from.
Yeah.
You know, read some books.
And are they really happy at the end of the day?
Read A Brave New World. You know, read some books about what's going on here.
It's the
I even stopped smoking weed. Yeah, Soma.
That's what they called it, right?
Yeah, it's really weird. I stopped smoking weed because I had to I smoked all my life since I was 13. Wake and bake, microdose all day. And I had this oral surgery, and my periodontist, cool guy, Mitch, pilot, cool plane, we fly. He says, Adam, stop putting fire in your mouth, man. I can't, I want you to heal. I can do the operation, but you got to heal. And you can't have that. I stopped. And then I got really productive. Now, I can still take an edible. I get really hammered if I take one, or, you know, like actual vaporizer, which vaporizes, but I'm high on life now.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
I was the same way.
Now, you smoke weed?
I smoked like an eighth a day for a decade.
Holy, my brother.
And then and then like a month before my first son was born, I was like, all right, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to.
And it wasn't hard for me. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I feel kind of good, actually. Yeah. And not that I felt bad, you know. And I was in Jamaica, went to Jamaica for a week, and the guys who I met 30 years ago were still there. Imhan said, no, I don't smoke anymore. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was in Weed Central.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore after going cold turkey, and I stayed cold turkey for like 6 or 9 months.
I was mixing with tobacco, you know. So
I was a big spliff guy myself.
Yeah, spliffs are the way to go. The long ones, I could roll them behind my back, my eyes closed while driving. One hand.
It is a cool
thing to do.
Ability to have.
Yeah.
An ability to roll a good spliff.
And, you know, of course. Now there's zero nicotine in here, which is not. Yep, the nicotine is another. Until
I'm on this. This is the pouches.
Right. Yeah. A buddy of mine had to go in and have some stuff done because of the pouches, just so you know.
Really? The nicotine ones or the skull?
Doesn't matter. Just whatever you're putting next to your gum, you know, it can mess it up. Look, it's more acceptable than putting a penis in your mouth in public. So, so it's probably best I just use this. The robo dick, as Rogan calls it.
The robo dick. Yeah.
Congratulations, man, with all your success and what you're doing.
Oh.
You got something really good going on here. I have to say, when Dave Jones and I were just putting this all together, was with Sphinx back, and whatever happened to Itoy, man, like just disappeared off the face of the earth. You still talk to him?
Yeah, I talk to him pretty frequently.
What's he doing?
He's focused on the stack work. Side of things.
Yeah, which is helping people in poor countries stack sats.
Mm-hmm.
I love
and then Sphinx is he's working on that too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to disclose. He's working on it, but it's just...
So those guys were critical in the boosts, critical in the whole idea, critical in helping us. They were the first client that really worked with the TLVs and putting all the information in there, and and we figured out early on. Also, he was instrumental in helping me understand a lot of things, just how stuff worked. And I remember, before we had all that, there was this one podcast that was accepting Bitcoin, but it wasn't really, it didn't have all the pieces right. And it was like, what the fuck is Tales from the Crypt? It's like, I used to watch The Crypt Keeper on HBO in like the 80s and 90s, and I wasn't really getting it. And I did like the Freaks thing. I thought that was, but that also confused me even more. I was like, what is this? And that was you, man. And so that all just kind of came together at the same. You're a big part of that story. It all kind of came together at the same time with Sphinx, with TFTC, with what Dave and I were, putting it all together. I just remember when it all kind of worked, and then people were coming in and boosting, and then we did the boostagram where you could have a message. I mean, and that's only a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it was so phenomenal. You're a big part of that.
Thank you. I mean,
no, thank you. It was
it was.
You were already pioneer. You were really ground zero of all of this. You were there, yet you just didn't have you didn't have the podcasting pieces that we could fit in with the index. That's what was missing.
Yeah.
So we just kind of came in and was like, Dave Jones, by the way, who built everything, all of it. He architected it, built everything. He has a full-time job. He works in an accounting office. And it's the shittiest time of the year right now for him because, with tax season coming up. And he tried to leave and they wouldn't let him go. They gave him more money to stay. Thank God. That guy is amazing.
Well, he's made it so easy. It's crazy how easy it is to onboard.
Well, I mean, that's really the whole group. I mean, and I think we were kind of smart to set up this Mastodon server, podcast index.social. Anybody's welcome to follow or come and we'll give you an account if you want one. And because we had that incentive, the people who are building apps and who are creating systems and ideas and contributing to the GitHub, and it's not all developers, it's all kinds of people. If you had to build a company and hire those people, you couldn't do it for $100 million payroll. They wouldn't be as honest with each other. Mm-hmm. And it's because they're incentivized, because everybody can get a piece of the action. Everybody can get something in the value split. Everybody can get some of that. That's why it works. That's why people show up. That's why they do it and they love it. And we have arguments and all kinds of stuff. And most of these people wouldn't love each other in real life. There's very different personalities.
Well, that's the beauty of Bitcoin. It brings together.
It does.
Even though a lot of people want to make you think that the toxic Bitcoin maximalist is the only archetype that exists.
Yeah, which is not true, obviously. And it's really mellowing out a lot, I think. Now that the crypto winter has set in, everyone's like, oh, well, I got nothing left to bitch about. All the shit coins are going down, so might as well do something positive.
Yeah.
Nostr.
Go build something.
Nostr appears, yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think where we are right now, it's like never been easier to build on the stack. And that's when Nostr is like a great example of that. Mm-hmm. And the things are like paid relays is a great example of something like a new business model that has like the right incentive structure.
Well, it's the right idea, but I think this is where value splits need to come in. Yeah. Somehow it needs to be an ongoing revenue stream, not just pay me 1,000 sats. Yeah. Like make it work, make me be able to send, I may want to send 10,000 sats to a relay, or every single time I zap someone, send a piece of that to the app I'm using, send a piece of that to the relay I'm using, or all of the relays. We're going to get to MSATs pretty soon, brother.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have to do MSATs because that's where it's headed. And that's hyper Bitcoinization to me, is when we have to start using MSATs because there's so much value to spread around.
Oh, agreed. When I show people my Zeus wallet and they see like one sat transaction, I get tweeted out the other week. I think you retweeted it. People were commenting like, that's like less than $1. I'm like, I'm not thinking about what it's worth today. Like,
exactly. That's why we keep everything on our node. We passed a full Bitcoin 2 months ago. So we got 124 million sats on the podcastindex.org node. I think we we started it with something, which came out of our own pocket, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
And so, whoa. And that's from 1%. Well, of course, it's also a podcast from our own podcast and donations. But we got a Bitcoin. We're full coin, man. A full coin LLC. 2 people, 2 partners. We don't take anything out, but we figure maybe 5-10 years, maybe that's worth something. Maybe we can take something out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little retirement.
And how many podcasts are?
Right now, it's about 12,800 that are value for value enabled. It grows between 10 and 50 a day, I guess. Kind of depends. But v4vstats.com is cool to look at because there you can really see. And it's a sine wave, because it's the bigger podcasts that release or what days they release. It kind of goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And what I'm looking for is when that starts to even out. Then we'll know, whoa, now we're really onto something. Now we've got enough people using it and doing it. So it's fun. It's really fun.
I know people ask you a lot, like, when's Rogan going to get on Value for Value? But it's like, he can't because of the Spotify deal. Like, who else would you want to see implement it?
Everybody. I want everybody. What I really want is I want the new podcasters. See, pod fade, usually because someone hasn't, it was a real thing during the lockdown. And of course, that's really slowed. And, it's stagnant at this point. So for new people who come in, and there's no way for you to get any advertising money until you have at least 10,000 downloads a month or whatever. That takes a while to build that up. But you can pretty quickly, whether you do it with Value for Value streaming sats or not, it's so much fun. And Tina and I did this with Curry and the Keeper. We started our own podcast. We only accept sats through apps or wine. We've done great with the wine. And so we've basically been onboarding people. You'd be surprised how many people just listen to a podcast in the browser, don't even use an app. So we've given them a reason to use an app because we asked for it. And the minute we released our first episode, bloop, bloop, you see these sats come in. And that excitement is great for a first-time podcast, a first-time podcaster. And it's not just you. It can be your co-host, can be your mom who lent you some money for the mics, whatever. Everybody can see this stuff coming in, just dripping in. And it's so much better than a download or, oh, look, half of the people are from the UK, or whatever, the statistics, which is, lies, damn lies and statistics. But sats, and now with Conchacks.app and Saturn, which both those integrate with Albi, with Get Albi, you can see exactly when people were listening. The boostograms are on the timeline. You can see when people dropped off. You can see when they came back. You can see now. That's really exciting. But the fact that I know right now, if I look at one of my wallets, one of my podcasts, that Satoshi that just came in is an actual human being, because no bot is going to do that to jack up my download numbers. That costs them money. Yeah. What Elon's trying to put in place with his Twitter Blue, we already have inherently. So that's a real person enjoying, because why else would you part with your money? Enjoying what I created, value for value.
Yeah. And
so I want the newbies to do it. I want people who are struggling, who are thinking of quitting, like, fuck, man. Like, I'm not making any money with this. I love doing it, but it takes up a lot of time. It's hard. People make it look easy, particularly if you're not making any money. You need it. You need that feedback. You need that loop. And all you have to do is onboard. You can onboard. You can even onboard with Conchacks. You can onboard with many hosts, Blueberry, RSS.com, Buzzsprout. All the big ones are doing it. All the kids doing it. But Fountain, you can onboard through Fountain. You can onboard through multiple apps. Whichever way you do it, it's really easy to do. And then you just have to remember that you have to ask, hey, do you like the podcast that we're doing? You enjoy this thing? Get podcastapps.com. Thank you very much, Marcus Couch. He bought podcastapps.com for us. So we got it bad. It was newpodcastapps.com and nudepodcastapps.com. But podcastapps.com is easy to remember. And all the value for value apps are there. Have them loaded up. You can even import your podcast subscriptions from other apps, from the legacy apps, except Spotify. Bye Spotify. Fuck you.
More people listen on Fountain than Spotify.
Podcast. It's Podverse, because of the live stuff. 10% I think is now listening to No Agenda on Podverse.
Yeah, it's over 10% on Fountain for TFTC.
Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And I love Oscar. What he's doing, because this is what I always hoped, is that someone would create what's really new. We have all these new things in podcasting, chapters, transcripts, location, person tag, all this stuff. But what's really new is the sats, because you can do fun things with it. And so he's got, and I wasn't even against it in the beginning. I'm like, I don't think I want boostograms kind of appearing as comments. I'm worried that I'm not going to get the kind of boostergrams because people will treat it like a comment. I was wrong.
Oh.
I was wrong. Like,
and that's what Matt and I with Rabbit Hole Recap, we've really gamified where we read the top 4 boostergrams.
Yep.
So we see people trying to outbid each other to get.
And so now when I see it's a top 50, the Fountain top 50, but I see the top 10, I see my wife and I are in there with our little wine, love podcast. Podcasting 2.0 is in there. There's always a No Agenda episode, Rabbit Hole Recap, TFTC, but also Living Up in a Down World, Pastor Jimmy and his wife, they're in there. Steve Webb, the OG Godcaster from way, way back. He's in there with his LifeSpring daily Bible read. I mean, there's all kinds of people that are showing up in this thing.
Millennial Media Offensive.
Millennial Media Offensive. I love those kids.
Yeah.
There's some real, and you look at the top 50, it's very diverse.
Yeah.
And there's even some podcasts in there that I think they don't even know that they're receiving sats, or they've forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. Like, what's Weinstein, White Horse, Dark Horse?
Brett's, Dark Horse.
I set him up, and he was like, I don't know what this is good for. And I see him in the top 50 all the time. He never talks about it, never asks, never reads a boostergram. Yet bitches and moans when he gets deplatformed and can't get ads.
Yeah.
Brother, listen, I mean, he would do okay. Now, would I love to have Joe on this? Of course. I have no idea. I have no idea what he's doing. And, we'll see. Right now, he recertified me the first time I was on, March 2020. He just went on, Adam Curry, the Podfather. You were there, man. You did that. I wouldn't be doing this without you. And because it was 18 years ago, people didn't know who Adam Curry was. Who's that guy with the Tourette's? Who's the guy with the blinky eyes? So he recertified me, and I've been on 5 times now, and that changed my life. It was perfect. That was the perfect timing for being able to start podcasting 2.0. So he's done a lot already. We don't necessarily need him.
You guys have the Joe No producers. What is the acronym?
No, it's RONAMO, which is Rogan, No Agenda, MoFax. We got all kinds of Rogan donation. I mean, very good audience. They love giving. They're never asked to give anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned about, I think what really pushed me into Bitcoin full force was his early episodes with Andreas Antonopoulos back in the day.
Yeah. And people say, he's almost orange pilled. Trust me, people.
Yeah.
You don't have to orange pill Joe Rogan.
That's the other thing, too. It's like, I go back and forth. Like, you don't have to feel compelled to orange pill anybody. Just keep building and make it so, like, it orange pills itself.
Yeah, exactly. I loved, quote unquote, orange pilling my pastor.
Yeah.
That was really fun, and he got it right away. And he said, value for value is great, man, but that's not you, man. That's a God thing. I think you're right, Pastor. I think you're right.
Yeah. You reap what you sow, right? You're
sowing value. All of that. Exactly. And, and it does come back. That's why I'm always boosting. I'm always sending it right back out. And I can't give my money away. It always comes back to me.
Yeah.
I'm boosting. Woof, 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 comes back.
Yeah, that's the... And that's like that's what keeps me coming back, whether it's TFTC or RHR. It's just like reading the boost. And it's still weird to me that there are people out there getting value from this. And
yeah. You don't really read them on the show, do you?
I read them before the ad reads.
Okay, right.
So I do two.
On Rabbit Hole Recap or on TFTC?
Or TFTC, I'll do it before the ad reads. And then in the middle of the show, Rabbit Hole Recap, will do it live.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a great way. It's a great way to do it. And then if you do the live show, and if you need, we can set you up for the lit stuff. That's hilarious, man. Where we just have the little pew going in the background from Helipad, which we built for the Umbral, and pew pew, and people just like the kids over at on IRC. We got these IRC gurus. That's what we use for chat, right? So they got a boost bot. So the boost bot shows the boost in the message and the emojis in the IRC chat. But then they got all these other things. They can trigger different sounds. So in different numbers, different values trigger different sounds on the show. I mean, they're going nuts over there. We got to have one of them on. So there's so much creativity with IRC, which is older than wood.
Yeah, well, that's
around forever.
That's like when you think about like live chat for podcasts. Like imagine if they had it for Twitch. Like this is like something Twitch.
It's basically, I mean, a lot of it is what I mean, this is not new. This is like Super Chat on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
It's Twitch, except, not with shitcoin. And because I think they do Bitcoin Cash, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitch.
Do they?
I think so.
I don't know.
Someone was all jacked. Hey, man, I got some Bitcoin for Twitch. Like, well, it's Bitcoin Cash. Oh, okay. Sit down. And we'll talk with you.
Have fun staying poor.
So it's but what's cool about it is there's no Twitch and there's no Google who are in the middle and who say, well, you can't do a super chat unless you put in this much money, or if you said this many downloads you can't have one, and and we're going to take X percent, and it just feels dirty when you're doing that versus when you're the percentages that ultimately go to the podcast or to the creator. That there's been splits that go off to the ecosystem. That feels good.
Yeah, and this is the way it should be, right? You push it all down to the protocol layer. Let's say you're using like OBS or something like that. Like you could still syndicate those messages on YouTube. It would just live,
Of course,
like on the screen, not in the chat.
I mean, I'm just inherently, I'm not gonna, I won't simulcast anything to any other. We've never done that. Like No Agenda has never ever. We've never tried to promote anything. We don't show up on lists. We're not number one for anything, or ever have been. Not on Apple, not anywhere. We have always encouraged people to post it anywhere you want. Put it up. People used to burn CDs and used to give away hundreds of thousands of CDs. Put them on USB sticks. Put them on your radio station. Do whatever you want. Pirate radio. But we've never said, oh yeah, we need to build an audience on YouTube. No. Never, or anything like that, or any other. In fact, we're not available on Spotify because they say, "Whoa!" They put our show on without asking us, which is rude. Mainly because you have to sign an agreement that says that they can put ads in. I'm like, no. So we said no. So we're not on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, screw you. I don't want to be on Spotify. If that's what you're going to do, you're fiat. You guys are fiat AF.
We do have a YouTube strategy, but it is annoying. It's just like
I'm not condemning.
It's
I'm honestly, I'm too lazy.
I'm like a beat.
That's the big thing. I don't want to have to deal with YouTube strategy.
But I'm like a battered housewife who keeps going back to her abusive husband. They've kicked me off like 3 times.
There
at this
you go.
point.
There you go.
I've been in YouTube jail 3 times talking about COVID.
In 2010, I built an app myself, iPhone app. It was hard to do, but it was called the Big App Show. And I thought that there would be a market, which there was at the time, where I would show apps in portrait mode. Mm-hmm. So when you looked at the show full screen, it was like seeing the app run on your phone. And I'll review apps and then and I'll have ads in the app. And it was great for like 2 months. I was making like $1,800 a month. I'm like, oh, this is phenomenal. And then AdSense or whatever it is kicked me off, and they said, yeah, it's illegal what you're doing. What, illegal? Well, you're soliciting, telling people to tap on the ad. Well, yeah, don't you want them to see the ad? No, that's not organic. We can't have that. And I've been banned for life. I cannot have any ad anywhere on Google, YouTube, anything. I cannot do that. And I never went back and never tried to do it again.
Jacking up your click-through rates.
Well, it was like, go look at the ad.
Yeah. No,
that's not good. We don't want that. Okay, fine. So, and then I just never did anything with them again.
Yeah. And I think the value from value model over time will supplant it.
Oh yeah.
Because you can make it like you described, it's very passive.
Well, again, you don't need to be number one. You don't need to be on a chart. It's the OnlyFans model in a way. You only need X amount of people to support you with X amount of dollars or sats.
Yeah.
That's all you need. As long as you can convince them that it's valuable because what you do is actually valuable, and remind them. You do have to remind people. You have to continue. That's why you have newsletters. It's like, hey, show's coming up tomorrow. Remember, you need to support us. That's what the newsletter's for. Mm-hmm. We put newslettery stuff in there and fun stuff, but the newsletter is to remind you that there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be confronted with tomorrow in your life. We're going to be one of them, and we'd like you to remember that we need support, and here's how we need it from you. And here's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the things Matt and I have really gotten better at in the last year, particularly, is that call to action. Okay.
Very important. That's just regular media strategy.
Yeah.
You just got to do that. People who do value for value and say, well, first of all, when people say, yeah, I don't work for tips. Well, I'm not asking for a tip. I don't want a tip. I'm asking for value, and I can't determine what you find valuable. $5 may be shit to you. It may be a lot of money. So whatever it is, you determine the value, you give it to me. I'm going to be happy because I know that you thought about it and that's value to you. And that's the only way it works. But if you don't tell people and remind them that this is a valuable service that you're providing and you would like to have something back, you're just not going to get it. Then they're going to forget because so much in the world is free, or at least that's what it's been so far. Yeah. Media is free. Everything's free. You can steal it. You can torrent it, whatever. I don't do that, but I try not to use stolen media. I pay for stuff.
Speaking of that, we've rebranded from Tales from the Crypt as Truth for the Commoner now because
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
don't
apologize.
Now.
I just don't want I don't want HBO to
Tales
knock
for
on
the
door.
Commoner or from the Commoner?
Truth for the Commoner.
Truth for the Commoner.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
The acronym worked out in our favor.
Of course. Yes, very good. I will never say at any. No. You should have stopped me a long time ago during this conversation.
Well, no, this happened like a couple months ago.
Truth for the Commoner.
I'm just HBO. I was young, dumb podcaster.
Very dumb. Didn't know what you were doing.
No,
that's right.
Never.
They seem kind of cool over there, actually.
They do.
Kind of. I hope.
I did too.
You can always get a sandwich at my place in Hill Country, Marty. Okay. No matter what happens, there's always sandwich and a place to sleep.
Well, if HBO comes after me, I might need to take
bring the kids. No problem. Yeah. I'm waiting for my grandkids. So.
We do need to get the kids out to Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
You got to make that happen between now.
I finally got the dog trained, so she won't eat them.
And they love dogs anyway.
Yeah. Well, this dog was 109-pound Akbash rescue. She had a few issues.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she went to training camp, boot camp for 3 weeks and came back. She's great.
Yeah. She's
great. Yeah. And we're doing a meetup in Nashville, so she's going to Cassandra who was her trainer for a couple of days, who just had a baby. So she's going to be around a baby, which is going to be fun. So
when's this in the next couple of weeks?
April 17th.
You got to stop by the Bitcoin Park in Nashville.
Yes. It is on the list. There's a lot to do. It's a big meetup. Nashville, we have meetups all over the world at noagendameetups.com if you want to see it. Nashville is big. Indiana is big. The Netherlands is huge. But it's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. It's going to be real busy.
Yeah. That's one thing I've always wondered with like TFTC and RHR. How do we get that meetup scene started?
We just produce Sir Daniel, one of our knights, he set up the noagendameetups.com website, and it's just been running like clockwork from then on. And it's just like people they can schedule it, they can set it up, and they organize it themselves, and it just works. And of course, we had the feedback loop. I love to announce them, and I love to play meetup reports as long as they're kind of decently produced. Sometimes they're pretty bad, but that's also beautiful. And so so people get to say hi. I mean, it's the old radio tricks, man. I've been doing this 40 years, so there's nothing new. It's just poured into a new jacket, and people haven't changed. They love hearing that something's personal for them. How many times I've been to Popeyes for an in-store. Hey, everybody, come meet the MTV guy at Popeyes. You can see by that big Popeye thing out front. That was a bad meetup for me.
No, going back to what you were saying earlier, people really like that in-person connection. Like we see it with the Bitcoin meetups.
You need it, yes, which unfortunately always on Thursdays, which is just not doable for me being out in Hill Country. So, because I know how fun they are. People always say, come on.
It's either Lit Devs or the Bitcoin Design Club. They do Wednesday nights, typically. I believe.
The problem is Hill Country.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm old now, 58. I got to get my beauty sleep.
You're on the porch with your rocking chair and
That's
your
right,
shotgun.
My shotgun. You better know it. Yeah. My dog.
Are we going to win? Are we going to get through this?
Oh, of course. Humanity always wins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is it's a blip in a long line of human bull crap.
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe not. Look, people will get voted off the island. There's no doubt, and that's what happens. That's humanity as well. That's why I say make children, stack sats, as Odell would say, stay humble. I think you say that too.
It's his.
It's his, but yeah, stay humble. That's really important. And be human. Be human and be with humans. And I think that's it. Everything else, yeah. Everyone else is a bot. If you're, don't give your kids tablets. Screen-induced autism is a real thing.
Yeah, you were talking about that on Thursday.
It's a real thing. Be careful what your kids are ingesting. Make sure that they go to the right, a school that, has your values, but is teaching them stuff that's valuable.
Yeah, we had to talk about that. We got our oldest into one of the best Montessori schools.
Montessori's fun.
Well, the day before we were going to send in the registration check, they sent us an email like, hey, we've got a great lunch and learn you should come to. We're going to teach you how to talk to your child about sex from the age of 2.
Goodbye, Montessori school.
And we were like, you're saying at the Christian school. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how deep it's getting.
I know. That's just as bad as Bud Light and Mulvaney. That's
right?
shocking. Right? I was stunned. I'm stunned by this too.
Yeah. Well,
Montessori used to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Montessori kids were cool kids.
And it was marketed as, I went to a Montessori school for a bit, and it was marketed as, this is, if you go to one luncheon this year, it's this one. It's like, what?
That's all. It's part of the whole transhumanization, man. That's all part of it. They're going after the kids, and you got to protect them, and you got to make more of them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I expect 2 more in the next 5 years.
That will easily hit that.
Okay,
we're gonna go for 4.
Nice,
at least.
Nice.
Number 3. I don't want to jinx myself, but hopefully, will be coming soon.
Are we practicing?
Not yet. Warming up. Stretching right now.
Warming up.
Stretching.
Visual I didn't need.
All right.
All right, brother. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit with you for, quite a long time, too.
I know.
It was very nice. Tina's like, when will you be home? I said, when we're done. But if I know Marty and me, 3 hours at least. We'll be doing at least 3 hours. Yeah. What are we at? 3 hours on the nose?
2:27.
Oh, my God. Let me stretch here a little bit.
A little short.
We covered a lot of ground, man.
We did. And thank you for doing this. And obviously a lot of shit's going on in my life, but I really appreciate you coming in to do this.
Of course. And thank you for your courage. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your humanity. I love you, brother. I really do. I love you. And as I said, anything, we're always here for you. Anything you need, anything we can do, sandwich. Or you need me, I'll be there. And I'm not alone. I know that. So, but you're very, very valuable to me in my life.
Well, I love you too, Podfather. And, the feeling is mutual. Again, like I said, my dad really liked that we have a relationship. He thought it was extremely cool. So I thought it was very fitting. It was very easy for me to get on the plane and come have this conversation with you particularly. So
I love that. I love that. Me too.
Yeah. All right.
Freaks.
Let's go win. Peace and love.